Good morning, now 5 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're looking at abundant sunshine today, and we'll have a high of 84 degrees. The peace talks are off now, and the blockade remains in place. Where we are now in the Iran ceasefire with ABC's Mary Bruce.
This is now indefinite, and it comes, of course, as the president had even been threatening to resume attacks. But he now says that Pakistan asked him to hold off on any further attacks. And he says he is complying, but he says he is not going to do the one thing that the Iranians were asking of him, and that is to end the blockade on Iranian ports.
The president posting on social media overnight that Iran is collapsing financially because it's losing $500 million a day due to the strait being closed down. Also happening overnight, the UK said that Iran has fired on one of its container ships in the Strait of Hormuz. No injuries reported. Police in Spring Hill are still searching for two men who broke into a home in the overnight hours on Monday. The family telling police the men were armed, but it's not clear if they stole anything from that house, and no one was injured. The incident has neighbors rethinking their security. They spoke to WSMV4.
I just thought for a second there, I wish I had more safety features in my house.
I had my backyard doors now fixed it because we were not locking any doors.
Yeah, police are asking any neighbors living near the Boxbury Lane home to check their surveillance cameras to help find those intruders. Democrats have one less vote in the House of Representatives. Sheila Sherfilis McCormick resigned from Congress right before a vote that could have ended her political career.
Just minutes before the committee was set to meet. She issues this statement, Congresswoman Sherfilis McCormick, and she says, quote, "Rather than play these political games, I choose to step away so that I can devote my time to fighting for my neighbors in Florida's 20th district." She really brought it down to the wire, and she largely did it because there was this expected expulsion vote that was likely to happen after the committee made its recommendations in the House really any day now.
That's ABC's Jay O'Brien. She's accused of embezzling $5 million of FEMA funds. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Stocks are back to losing ground, ending the day in the red due to the ongoing war in Iran. The Dow lost 292 points. The S&P dropped 45. The Nasdaq fell 144. Oil prices rose after the U.S. suspended Vice President J.D. Vance's planned peace talks trip. United Health, which jumped 6% after reporting stronger profit and revenue for the beginning of the year than analysts expected. Tractor Supply fell 11% on worse than expected quarterly report. Florida's Attorney General has opened an investigation into OpenAI's ChatGPT and the app's interactions with a gunman charged with the fatal shooting at Florida State University last year. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Stock futures are on the plus side. The Dow futures up 243. That is the latest news. Your traffic is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Yeah, I'm not seeing any delays so far on 2465 or 2465 or 40. Things are looking good so far. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends and welcome on into a Wednesday. It is April 22nd. All right, so I got to make sure that I got this right, Joan.
Yeah.
So ceasefire on again, but the president is still threatening to blow up the rest of Iran. Do I have that right?
I think you got it. Yep.
Okay, and the ports are still closed. The Iranian ports are still closed.
Yeah, but Iran is still up to their hijinks.
Well, that's okay because they're going to be blowed up soon.
Yeah.
So whatever.
So they've fired on, I reported just now that they fired on a container ship from the UK. CNN is saying now it's 2 container ships have been hit by gunfire.
Well, gee, maybe the UK will then try to maybe help
do
us.
something.
You know, it's like, sorry, UK, but you know what? You had your opportunity to help us. And
Is this
you
an
didn't
FAFO
do
moment?
diddly. Yes.
Yes.
They didn't do diddly or squat. So, and the president has been up posting on True Social like
He
literally
sure has.
all night.
Yeah.
At the same time, this is the president posting, talking about how indefinitely extending the ceasefire with Iran, that he says, based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, the U.S. military would hold off striking until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. Some say that Trump's blockade has emboldened the hardliners. Remember their new leader, we talked about this yesterday in some detail. Their new leader in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard is one of those hardliners. He's one of these radicals. I think, do you know what I'd like to do? I'm not going to because for whatever reason, I find it uncouth and unseemly. But I feel like I want to do like a WTN poll. You know, how long do you give this guy before he is assassinated?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is that wrong to do? I feel like he is just the next to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the problem is we keep saying, I mean, you kill one, another cockroach comes up.
It's true.
In Donald Trump's post last night, the president wrote this. Iran doesn't want the Strait of Hormuz closed. They want it open so they can make $500 million a day, which is, therefore, what they are losing if it is closed, the president writing. They only say they want it closed because I have it totally blockaded closed, so they merely want to save face, the president arguing. People approached me 4 days ago, Trump says, saying, sir, Iran wants to open up the strait immediately, the president continued. But if we do that, there can never be a deal with Iran unless we blow up the rest of their country, their leaders included. Which is actually true. If you open up the Strait of Hormuz, then I'm sorry, but you have no real leverage over the Iranians. Clearly, bombing the nation of Iran isn't doing it. It's not cutting it. As I've been saying for a long time now, you know, we're really good at blowing stuff up, but you know what Iran is really good at? Sadly, Iran is really good at surviving. And so now it does turn out, and I heard Gary talking about this overnight, but now it's all just a waiting game. You know, we're trying to wait out the Iranians because they are losing $500 million a day, and they're trying to wait us out as well. The president right now feeling like he has leverage with the closure as Iran loses $500 million a day. The question is, what is happening with their pursuit of nuclear weapons? Are they working on them as we speak? Now, the president would probably tell you, I don't know. I've read other people that are saying, well, yeah, part of the reason why Iran has this waiting game is because, you know, they like to do this. They like to make these negotiations last as long as humanly possible so that they can continue to work on their nuclear weapons, which right now they are at 60% enriched uranium. Senator John Kennedy was on CNN last night talking about the dynamic in Iran right now. We have some video here, gentlemen.
You have to understand what's going on internally among the government, such as it is in Iran. It's like the cantina bar scene in Star Wars. You have a bunch of the new leaders. Some of them are scared. All of them are angry. Some of them are crazy. They think that if they die, they'll go to heaven and get 72 virgins. They're going to be very disappointed when they find out it's 72 Virginians. But look, when we deal with our enemies that have nuclear weapons, China, North Korea, Russia, these are rational people. The people running Iran are not. And I don't know if we'll ever get an agreement.
He brings up a very good point about not knowing whether or not we'll ever get an agreement. You know what? That sounds like a pretty good Daily Dan poll, Joan, Sam,
Perfect.
Ryan. I think the Daily Dan poll should be, do you believe that we will ever get an agreement with Iran? Because I think that, I don't know, Joan, do you think what is the end of this? Like, where is this going to end? I know it's hard, isn't it?
It is difficult because all of I would have said something completely different 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So, and there's some discussion now about how this is sort of the precursor, that China's kind of watching this to see where it goes and how Iran does this because they want to continue taking land.
Well, they want to go after Taiwan.
They want to go after Taiwan. And if they do so, they kind of think that this deal is kind of a dry run for what they would do. Because, China's behind whatever Iran is doing. I mean, China's funding them.
We caught them red-handed.
Yeah.
Remember we said yesterday, the day before, Joan, we're talking about how we blew the engine out of that cargo ship. We boarded the cargo ship and shocking and surprisingly said no one. There was material there going to Iran, apparently, and this material, some chemicals that could be utilized for weapons. And so, this wouldn't be surprising. And you know what? Here's the other thing, is that if China was to try to take over Taiwan, that the folks out there on the left, and some Republicans too, would basically say, why do we care if China takes over Taiwan? What does that have to do with America? So you're right. I mean, this is something where the Chinese, and we said this when we saw Joe Biden allow what happened with Afghanistan, with the failed pullout of Afghanistan, the weakness that Joe Biden showed there. Donald Trump is trying to show strength in a peace through strength is what Donald Trump is trying to show. He is trying to portray strength. The problem is now, as I said, it ultimately is just a waiting game. And what is going to happen next really is anybody's guess. But you're right. Russia and China both are watching this. All of our enemies are watching this. And here's the deal. Iran is a lot smaller than China. So I think that China is pretty deadly as well, obviously. And China also, we know that they have nukes. We also know that China, their hacking game is really, really good. So there's a lot to consider here. And so we don't want to be the ones that are called a paper tiger. Right now there's a lot of people that would say, well, Iran is the paper tiger. They're not really, they're not fighting back, if you will, in the Strait of Hormuz. They're not going after, our ships. They're really not doing much in the way of trying to get the Strait of Hormuz back open militarily. And I would understand, that sentiment, but at the same time, they are firing at those ships from the UK. By the way, did they do any damage to the ship in the UK, the two ships in the UK?
Yeah, not that I can tell.
They don't seem to be able to do much damage.
They don't.
Like, we were able to take out the engine room with a couple of bombs or whatever it is that we fired on their ship. But they don't seem to be able to do much damage. Still saying that we have not seen hide nor hair of a mine in the in the Strait of Hormuz. So there's a lot going on, and we'll have to wait and see ultimately what happens. Part of what is happening, and I'm going to talk about this coming up next, and I hate to say it, you know what, Joan, I feel like I'm a little bit of a broken record because I've been talking about some of this stuff for a long time. Like, for example, I think I said even before this war started, there's a lot of different factions within Iran. And so you've got the politicians, you've got like the parliament, you've got the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, you've got a power vacuum. And so, I mean, how do you know who you're communicating with or who you're supposed to be communicating with? I mean, I feel like a broken record because I've been saying this for a long time. However, it really has now come to fruition, that challenge. Even Caitlin Collins at CNN is worried about this, and I'm going to talk about that coming up. It is 5:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
We're looking at clear roads so far this morning. Everything running well on 24, 65, and on 40. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
As far as your weather today, Joan, is this a drive with you Sunday today, warm 83 degrees?
Yep, that's perfect.
All right, very good. One of the things going on right now is that Iran, they've gone silent. And so we keep trying to communicate with them, and apparently they're just not communicating. This is Caitlin Collins over on CNN.
The administration was dealing with an issue, virtual silence that they were getting from the Iranians. Now, I've learned that in recent days, the United States had sent Iran a list of broad points that they wanted them to agree to in advance of the next round of talks, of J.D. Vance getting on Air Force Two and going back to Islamabad. But days went by without the United States getting a response, raising questions and suspicions about whether or not much could be achieved in person. Officials had urged the top mediator from Pakistan to get at least some kind of response from Iran before the vice president boarded his flight. But still, hours later, an official tells me there was nothing. That radio silence is a far cry, though, from the confidence that we had heard coming from President Trump just a few days ago on Iran.
This process should go very quickly, and that most of the points are already negotiated and agreed to.
Now, cut to today, and the president's top aides basically believe one of the biggest reasons they did not hear back from the Iranians on what they wanted to just get these talks started is due to fractures within the current Iranian leadership. The administration's sense is that the Iranians don't have consensus on their position or know how much to empower the people who are going and negotiating in person on things like uranium enrichment and the current stockpile of enriched uranium.
So there you go. Caitlin Collins. And so we've sent them all these points, and they're just not getting back to us. Now realize that the new Iranian leader, he is, I guess, underground. He's been wounded, so he's dealing with that as well. He, remember we call him Stumpy? He lost his leg. I don't know why I find that funny. But anyway, he lost his leg, and so he's been wounded, and we don't really know what kind of shape he's in. And he's in some sort of an underground bunker. Somebody said, I don't know if it was Hannity, somebody said, dude is like 2 miles underground. I don't know if that's true, but he's not real accessible. The other thing is that this whole thing might simply be a delay tactic, as the Iranians know that Donald Trump is under a ton of pressure here at home. And they don't, as I've said before, they don't care about their people. They don't care about their own lives. They don't care about polling or anything. So we have all of that going on. Did you see, by the way, oh my goodness gracious. Nope, I got to stay on time, Joan. I've got to stay on time today. Did you see who was on CNN last night? Justin Pearson. Justin Pearson was on CNN last night, and I've got the audio coming up because he actually got called out. Justin Pearson got called out. I'm going to talk about that straight ahead. It is 5:20. By the way, Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WTN. You can also watch the radio show on Super Talk TV. That is on YouTube, Facebook, X, 997WTN.com. Download the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. And it is, again, 5:20. Joan's got the news at 5:30. Joan.
Yeah, coming up here, Virginia has fallen, and the Southern Poverty Law Center is in legal trouble. Those stories at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
525, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN Super Text line. I'm just opening it now, Joan. Running a little late this morning, but so if anybody has any comments, feel free to hit us up. 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. All right, so Justin Pearson. Got some video here, gentlemen. Justin Pearson, Memphis's own, was on CNN last night, and he totally got called out. So here is the audio. Of course, they are talking about Iran. And Justin Pearson, he starts blathering on and on about, you know, how Donald Trump is authoritarian and all this stuff. And he gets called out, as he should.
And this administration has done this because we have a wannabe dictator as president of the United States. And again, we are in a war that was completely unnecessary. It is. It's an authoritarian, an elected authoritarian who is operating as a dictator, who thought that he could kill, destroy, and bomb an entire nation into submission. And that isn't what has happened. And that isn't what's happened.
Fair and reasonable. And I've said this before, like, to debate the actual issues here and whether or not we think that this was the right move, but to immediately go to this lazy talking point that is used by the left all the time, just screaming about a dictator in chief. And it's just, it's not a serious conversation. If you say that you're serious about the issues that people are facing, talk about the policies instead of going to these silly attacks.
See, and that's Jason Rantz. He's absolutely right. You know, and I've talked about this before. I've actually laughed about this before, where it must be really nice to be able to just, you know, have these really shallow talking points and be able to get on CNN. I mean, Jason Rantz is I believe he's a radio talk show host like yours truly. And, you know, it is our job, it is our responsibility to, you know, have takes with information fueled, opinion driven. And all you've got to do apparently on CNN is to be able to say, oh, he's an elected dictator, is what Justin Pearson says. An elected dictator. And that's the level of your analysis on CNN. It is incredible. And the fact that CNN, because you heard some of the people at the table on CNN where Jason Rantz is saying, well, you know, that's not a serious take. These are tired talking points. And we could be talking about, you know, Gloria Johnson. We could be talking about Justin Jones. We could be talking about Justin Pearson. We could be talking about, you know, any of these people on the left where, you know, they've been screaming for years and years now about, oh, Donald Trump, he's a dictator. And all of this, it is so shallow. It is so not serious. I mean, honestly, how long? I'm gonna give you an example from our side. So for 4 years, we had all of that great audio from Kamala Harris, where clearly, I mean, there were mornings where we would play audio of Kamala Harris sounding drunk versus Joe Biden sounding mentally disabled, and we were trying to figure out which one sounded better or worse. But we still went back to policy. We still went back to talking about the policies behind, you know, them saying the border was secure when it clearly wasn't. I mean, I could go on and on. But we always went back to the policies. But you see, for a lot of these folks with, you know, TDS and all that other kind of stuff, it's just all they have is that Donald Trump is as Justin Pearson said, Donald Trump is an elected dictator. He's an authoritarian. And as Jason Rantz says, if that's the level of where you can go with the conversation, well, then you're not really somebody who is serious about, number one, trying to find common ground, but number two, about actually being able to debate and talk about the issues of the day, talking about policy. And you know why that is? Because by and large, the Democrats lose on policy almost every single time. That is why they go back to these not serious talking points. It is 5:30. News with Joe and Jones now on WTN.
Good morning. It is 5:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Sunshine all day today. We'll have a high of 84. Virginia voters have approved that gerrymandering initiative brought on by new Governor Abigail Spanberger. Here's ABC's Lionel Moyes.
Voters in Virginia have narrowly approved redrawing the state's congressional map to favor Democrats ahead of November's elections. Former President Obama was among those who argued the redrawing is necessary to counter similar moves in Texas and other states that benefited Republicans.
You can push back against the Republicans trying to give themselves an unfair advantage in the midterms.
Republicans slammed the results, saying Virginia Democrats can't redraw reality, calling it gerrymandering in a purple state.
Former Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli has already started the legal fight, saying there will be 4 constitutional challenges brought to the state Supreme Court. The Southern Poverty Law Center has been indicted on fraud charges. The Department of Justice saying the organization said it paid informants to monitor and track racist organizations, but instead was using the money provided by donors to pay leaders within those groups, like the Ku Klux Klan and Nazi organizations, to stoke racial hatred.
The Southern Poverty Law Center vigorously disputes the allegations contained in the indictment. We are outraged, a statement said by what the group called the false allegations leveled against the Southern Poverty Law Center, an organization that for 55 years, it said, has stood as a beacon of hope, fighting white supremacy in various forms of injustice.
That's ABC's Aaron Katursky. Now, only the organization has been named in this indictment so far, but individuals could soon be charged as well. There's good news from Cheatham County this morning. Police who had been searching for a missing 9-year-old girl report the search for her is over. Officials say that girl was found safe hours later. She was spotted playing in the woods. That is the latest news. Stick around for traffic next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. No big delays so far this morning. No problems traveling on 40. 65 looks okay. Just a little bit slow on 24 westbound as you're approaching the Nashville area this morning. Otherwise, you're doing okay. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.536, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Hey, Joan, you want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
So I was talking about the new Iranian leader, the one with only one leg now.
Yes.
And I called him Stumpy.
Yeah.
48.99 says his new name is Abu Dhabi Limp-A-Lot.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I thought that was... Is that wrong? All right, fine. I'll move on. I thought it was funny.
You get a lot of laughs out of this topic. Says a lot about you, Dan.
That's okay. Sure, it does. I have no problem. You know why? Because in their opinion, the only good American is the dead American. So
yes,
to
that's
me,
true.
The only good Iranian leader is a dead leader. That's my opinion.
There you go.
By the way, Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah.
This is just delicious.
It is delicious.
So in case you folks don't know, the Southern Poverty Law Center, they have made it their goal over many, many years. And they've been around for a long time. I'm going to have to paraphrase some of this because, I know because I've been watching them for years. But the Southern Poverty Law Center, basically what they do is they like to point their crooked little fingers at conservative organizations and call them hate groups, label them hate groups. And I guess what's been happening, Joan, is the FBI has been working with the Southern Poverty Law Center to label those hate groups. Is that what has been happening in the past?
Yeah.
And then Kash Patel said, no more. And they started looking at, the Attorney General started looking at the Southern Poverty Law Center and started looking at their books. And they found what?
They found that the group so they had this program where they would pay, they called them informants. And of course, they were using donor money to do it. So they would take the donor money and they pay people who are informants within a group. So take, for instance, a Nazi group. So they would pay somebody within the Nazi group to inform them about what's happening. But what they were actually doing was taking the money to pay the leaders of that group so they would continue being a hate group so that the Southern Poverty Law Center would have something to crow about.
Do you know what's so great, Joan? How great is it that here in America, you've actually got to pay hate groups to hate?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you think Phil Williams will cover this over there on Channel 5?
I think probably not.
Because he is always looking for those hate groups, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I guess, Phil, Southern Poverty Law Center, they can't find hate, apparently. So now what they're doing is they're paying these hate groups to exist.
So they have what they call a hate map. The Southern Poverty Law Center does. And right here in Nashville, they say that within the hate map, there are 5 groups. Their ideologies include the Ku Klux Klan, neo-Nazis, neo-Volkish, whatever that is, racist skinhead, and white nationalists.
Yes.
I'm surprised that they're not white Christian nationalists.
Well, I mean, this is what this organization does.
This is so funny.
How long is
one of their organizations that are hate groups? Moms for Liberty out of Wilson County.
Okay, so thank you, Joan. That proves my point that you have these organizations that are simply standing up for their rights as parents.
Here you go. Here's another one. Warriors for Christ.
Oh, those hate groups. How dare they be a warrior for Christ? So Todd Blanche, the acting attorney general, he goes through in painstaking detail why it is that the Southern Poverty Law Center, how exactly it is that they broke laws. I've got video here.
But the Southern Poverty Law Center is a 501c3. Okay, they're required to, under the laws associated with a nonprofit, to have certain transparency and honesty in what they're telling donors they're going to spend money on, and what their mission statement is, and what they're raising money doing. And so, as the indictment points out, there's different ways that they raise money, and in no fundraising efforts that the investigation found did they say, oh, and by the way, we're going to give $1 million to the Ku Klux Klan. So that's fraud. So that's wire fraud. So, and then the bank fraud part of it is you have KYC, you have an obligation to tell your financial institution what the corporation or the entity that you're opening an account for does. And the allegations in the indictment are that these were fictitious companies that were set up, and so there was certain information sworn to by SPLC executives about what the entities were doing that we allege is false.
Wow. I mean, is anybody, can I just ask this question though, Joan? You and I've worked in talk radio for many, many, many years. And people are saying that, by the way, somewhere Phil Valentine is smiling because they're saying on the super text line, I don't remember this, but apparently Phil Valentine was on their list.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Hey, Sam,
That's awesome. My goodness.
Could you Google that and see if Phil Valentine was on the Southern Poverty Law Center list of, evildoers, whatever it is? So I don't remember that. Maybe he was. But, I mean, the reality is that, just like in my opinion, Act Blue, you've got these organizations that ultimately turn out to be corrupt. And that is horrifying, but it doesn't really surprise me. In talking about what is going on with the Southern Poverty Law Center, and again, they do deny all of this, but I don't think that Kash Patel, because Kash Patel is involved in all this, and I guess once Kash Patel and maybe it was Pam Bondi, but once they got in there and they started sort of like digging around and looking at stuff, and they're like, wait a minute, why exactly is it that we are looking at this whole thing and the Southern Poverty Law Center, and why is it we're working with them? I mean, especially based on the organizations, the conservative organizations that like Moms for Liberty, where they have labeled them as hate groups. Do you know what else? Todd Blanche was on Laura Ingraham last night. You remember the whole thing in Charlottesville? Where, Donald Trump was accused of,
I was there at the time. Not there in Charlottesville, but yeah, in Washington, D.C., which is very close.
Yeah. So, Donald Trump said there's good people on both sides, and his comments were taken horribly
out of context. Unbelievably out of context.
So Todd Blanche says that a lot of that horrible day was paid for courtesy of the Southern Poverty Law Center.
What about Charlottesville and the Charlottesville Unite the Right rally? Were they involved in that?
Yes. So what we allege in the indictment and what the grand jury found is that one of the individuals that they paid was one of the folks who helped organize that terrible event. And so so imagine what we're talking about, Laura. We're talking about an organization that actively came out and just screamed it from the top of their lungs.
So just so people understand watching this, did these informants in some cases, given the evidence you've seen, actually initiate what would ultimately be these activities? And obviously Charlottesville ended with a tragedy.
Well, we know that they were part of those. They were part of it. Whether they were the leaders or the initiators, that'll come out, I think, eventually. But what we do know is that the very entities that this group was raising money to go against are the very entities that they were taking the money in and paying to these entities and these individuals associated with those groups.
That is crazy. You know who else? Prager University is on their list as a hate group. PragerU.
How about Dr. Ben Carson?
Ugh.
They actually apologized to him because they put him on the extremist watch list because he was anti-gay.
And they had to apologize to him?
They actually apologized to him.
Okay, now here's my question. Did they apologize to Ben Carson because they realized that they were wrong? Or did they apologize to Ben Carson because he lawyered up?
Yeah. in October 2014, we posted an extremist file of Dr. Ben Carson, wrote on its website. This week, as we come under intense criticism for doing so, we've reviewed our profile and have concluded that it did not meet our standards. So we've taken it down and apologized to Dr. Ben Carson for having posted it. They're insane.
You know, a couple things. Number one,
you know what he said? You know why? Exactly why?
Why?
Because in an interview on Fox's Hannity show, Dr. Ben Carson said marriage is between a man and a woman.
Oh, what a hate monger.
Oh, he's terrible.
What a hate monger.
He's the most gentle, extraordinary man on the planet. And this is who they went after.
I love Ben Carson. I've interviewed Ben Carson many times.
Yes.
The last time I interviewed Ben Carson, and I meant this with all due respect, I wanted to send him like a year's supply of Monster drinks.
To give him energy?
Oh, my Lord. And again, I love Ben Carson. He is great. There was a time during 2015, 2016, where I was flirting with him as, being my favorite to be president of the United States during the primary.
Yeah.
Like I did. Because I think the world of him. So anyway, good for the Attorney General, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche and the FBI as they go after the Southern Poverty Law Center. And, I always wondered, by the way, who died and made them the arbiters of hate groups anyway?
Exactly.
That was always my question.
Yes.
It's like, who is it that made you people hate groups? Because look at the, look at some of these, and I should be fair. I don't know if, there's all of these groups in America who are like pro-Palestinian, pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas. Are those organizations on the Southern Poverty Law Center's list of hate groups? I don't know. Can I be honest? I have found the Southern Poverty Law Center so ridiculous for so many years, Joan. I don't really pay much attention to them anymore. Like there was a time when when I talked about them a lot, but I mean that was years ago.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to hear a really dumb comment? Video. This is Pramila Jayapal.
I worked on global health for 10 years before coming to Congress, so it's an area that I'm very interested in. Cuba has a remarkable public health system, lowest infant mortality, maternal mortality, sort of the opposite of what the United States has.
So Pramila Jayapal is saying that Cuba has an outstanding, excellent healthcare system. Better than the United States, she says. Have you ever actually looked at Cuba's healthcare system and about how they have chronic shortages of medicine and supplies? And that has led to outbreaks of massive disease and how, because if you don't have the proper medicines and you don't have the proper supplies, then if you have an outbreak of whatever it might be and you have a shortage of medicine, then it just spreads. That's what's happening in Cuba. Their hospital infrastructure is deplorable. The hospitals are deteriorating in front of their eyes. They've got all these facilities. They don't really have the modern equipment. Do you know what I would ask Pramila Jayapal? Pramila Jayapal, if you would, and this is all, Donald Trump is going to take over Cuba, right? That's what they're saying. So my 2 cents would be, if you are going to, Pramila Jayapal, if you are going to talk about how great Cuba's healthcare system is, next time you need an operation, next time you need some sort of health care, I want you to fly to Cuba. Put your body where your mouth is and go to Cuba and see how really great their healthcare system is. It's just, these Democrats, they just, the Trump derangement syndrome is so deep with these folks that they will say and do anything to be opposite of Donald Trump. And they ultimately just end up sounding stupid. And by the way, the life expectancy in Cuba is actually declining. And part of that is, of course, because of the issues with their healthcare system. There's also a lot of economic strain that is going on in Cuba as well. So, yeah, if you would like, go on over, Pramila Jayapal, go to Cuba, get whatever it is that you need done, because we all need health care from time to time, and see if it really is willing to put her body where her mouth is. It is 5:51 on Super Talk 99.7. Joan's got the news coming up at 6. Joan.
Yeah, questions about that ceasefire because 3 ships have now been hit in the Strait of Hormuz. We'll bring you up to date on that coming up here at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.555, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7, WTN 615-737-9986. Joan, listen to this. Because we're talking about Pramila Jayapal and how she believes that Cuba's healthcare system is better than America's. 6170 out of Murfreesboro says this. My wife is Cuban, and if you have to stay at the hospital in Cuba, you have to bring your own sheets, your own pillow, your own fan, and your own food. Can you imagine that?
That's amazing.
I mean, I don't know. 2690, Cuba didn't have electricity for months. 63. You ever been to Cuba, Joan?
No, I haven't.
63. It's not on my bucket list, I'll tell you that. 63-46. Everything is deplorable in Cuba. Let's see here. Mario. I love what Mario says. Just real quick. Mario says, let's count the boats with healthcare refugees that are headed to Cuba. Another good one. Because people, in Cuba, they come here for the healthcare. So I'm trying to navigate this. People are swearing up and down that Phil Valentine was on the SPLC hate list group thing.
Yeah.
We can't find that anywhere. Like Sam is looking. I did some cursory searches as well. I can't find it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he was not on it at one time. And it wouldn't surprise me if he was on it, because he is just the kind of person that they would designate as some sort of a hate group or whatever, Phil Valentine. So obviously he was not. Those of us who knew and loved Phil Valentine understood exactly what he stood for. And he was anything but someone who was a hater. But, the Southern Poverty Law Center, as we talked about, do you think that anybody is going to actually go to prison? Like, who would they send to prison? The higher-ups at the Southern Poverty Law Center?
Well, they're probably going to have to trace exact conversations and who signed checks, things like that, to make charges against individuals.
Jim says, don't the Canadians vacation in Cuba?
Do they?
You know what? When Chris Hand comes in, let's ask Chris and ask him when he was, in Canadian, growing up in Canada, learning how to ice skate and play hockey and all that.
Yeah.
Did he and the parents ever go vacationing in Cuba? People are swearing up and down. That Phil talked about being on the SPLC hate list. I'm not going to doubt the people that are sending notes in, because folks know Phil Valentine. They listened to him for years and years. It wouldn't surprise me, so I'm not going to argue about it. I would find it interesting, though, to find out what exactly is going to happen to the people at the Southern Poverty Law Center. Will they actually disband the organization? And here's the deal. Do we actually need the Southern Poverty Law Center? Like that's part of my...
Well, I think the collapse of that organization is what they're hoping for.
Yeah. Do you know what the thing is, though? And me too, Joan. I agree with you. You know what I would say, though? Is that I think that in 2026, we are all a hell of a lot smarter than we were in the 1990s, in the 2000s, where we know what the Southern Poverty Law Center has been all about. We've known for years. That's why I stopped paying attention to them. I think that the people who, find the Southern Poverty Law Center with any amount of credibility are the kinds of people that would turn to them to tell them who a hate group is and is not. And I don't need them to tell me who a hate group is and who a hate group is not. Moms for Liberty, obviously not a hate group. The KKK, yes, they are a hate group. We're not idiots in America. We can tell the difference between, Moms for Liberty and the KKK. We don't need the Southern Poverty Law Center. And as it turns out, they are allegedly corrupt as hell. 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, now 6 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. There are questions about whether a ceasefire is actually holding in Iran after reports early today that 3 cargo ships have been hit in the Strait of Hormuz.
The third cargo ship, the most recent, reportedly has been attacked while attempting to transit the strait. It may have a Panama flag on it, and earlier the British military reported one of its ships was attacked as well. We don't have the confirmed attacker, but, Iran is suspected here. And here in Pakistan, both the president and the Pakistani prime minister have left it open-ended, the possibility of peace talks happening here. We saw how touch and go it was over the past couple of days.
Yeah, that's Matt Finn at Fox News. Now, Iran claims that it has seized 2 ships that are now in its custody. Ship tracking data shows 2 ships that Iran says that it seized appear to be just off the coast of Iran. Here in Tennessee, Governor Bill Lee has signed 2 bills dealing with illegal immigration. He's signed them into law. The first makes it a crime for an illegal to be in the state 90 days after a judge orders them to leave the country. The other punishes local governments that fail to use the federal E-Verify system to check employees' eligibility to work in the U.S. These are the first of a package of 9 immigration-focused bills in the state legislature. Have you heard about the project to read the Bible, Genesis to Revelation, by notable Americans? Part of the Museum of the Bible celebration of the nation's 250th birthday. Last night, it was President Trump's turn.
My people, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land.
The passage from 2 Chronicles in the Old Testament there. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Stock futures got a boost overnight after President Trump announced an indefinite extension to the ceasefire with Iran hours before it was set to expire. But the Strait of Hormuz is still closed. Crude prices were hovering around $100 a barrel. On Tuesday, the major stock indexes closed lower. The Dow Jones Industrials falling nearly 300 points to finish at 49,149. The Standard & Poor's and NASDAQ Composite each gave up 0.6% on the day. Despite its name, fast food chain Steak and Shake has created a new corporate position. Chief Officer of Make America Healthy Again, Michael Bowes will fill the role. He previously worked under Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
And we've got stock futures on the plus side with the Dow futures up 234 points. And that is the latest news. Traffic is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 6:03, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. WTN, Dan Mandis here for my friends at Loan Pronto. Credit card interest rates are now over 29%, and most people are only making the minimum payments, so they're getting nowhere in trying to pay down that principal. Dan Mandis here. Now, you know what a lot of homeowners don't even realize? Using the equity in your home, you can easily access hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. With Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan, you can pay off your credit cards, your existing HELOC, your car loans, or get money for that home improvement project. One client just got $100,000 approved and saved over $1,500 a month. And here's the best part. With Loan Pronto, you can do it all right from your phone. With 0 out-of-pocket expenses, no hard credit pull up front, no appraisal, no long drawn-out bank process, no. And by the way, no touching your first mortgage. That's right. Now, rates right now, they're at near 3-year lows, so you've got to act right now. Go to loanpronto.com. See how much money you can get in about 60 seconds. Loan Pronto, 2,800 5-star Google reviews. Call them at 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780. Find them online anytime. It's loanpronto.com, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
You've got Lee Victory Parkway westbound closed right now for an investigation. There was an accident in the area between Bulldog Drive and Old Nashville Highway. This is out at Smyrna High School. Watch it there this morning. Again, that is a stretch of Lee Victory Parkway. The westbound lanes closed for an investigation, Bulldog Drive to Old Nashville Parkway. You've got Eastern Split this morning, a crash on I-40 westbound. It's right at the I-24 exit. The second right lane has been blocked off by it. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Talk. 607 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends and hope you are doing well. We've lost Virginia. Oh, my Lord. What a train wreck. We are going to talk about that. The discussion, Joan, about Phil Valentine and the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me something from 2006.
Oh.
Where they talk about Phil Valentine. Now, it's a very little, just a sort of like a little couple of sentences where they're talking about it's under this column called Overheard. And they got two words that are representative, apparently, of what Phil Valentine said. Shoot him. Nashville radio host Phil Valentine on what should be done with a would-be border crosser caught for the 8th time in an April 27th public forum broadcast by WTN AM? We were never on AM. Whatever.
Yeah, that's Southern Poverty Law Center for you.
Exactly. They can't even get our frequency right, so I'd be willing to bet that they took Phil out of context. So, whatever. There's enough people that are saying that Phil talked about this all the time, that he more than likely was on their hate list, but at least we do have that. So, 8088 is listening in Iceland today.
Whoa.
So I'm not going to complain about how the studio is cold this morning, because 8088 listening in Iceland. Somebody was listening in Greece the other day. We talked about that. Thank you for listening in Iceland. I've often wondered why people listen when they go on vacation, but thank you. I mean, listen, I appreciate it very much. Joan, you ever heard of the Petrodollar?
You were telling me this morning. I'd never heard this before. So inform us all. Make us smarter.
Well, I will be, but I'll be doing it at 6:36.
Okay.
EJ Antoni is going to join us. Good. And there's this theory that America, the petrodollar basically is all of these other countries use the, I'm going to do just a very surface level thing here. Then EJ Antoni is going to fill in all the blanks. Basically, what it is all of these other countries across the world use the American dollar to pay for their oil. And this goes back to an agreement that we made way back in, I think, the 1960s or 1970s. So the conspiracy is, with the petrodollar, is that when there are organizations or countries that want to stop using the U.S. dollar to pay for their oil and gas, Iran is on the list, Iraq is on the list as well, then we attack those countries because they want to stop using the U.S. dollar to pay for their oil and gasoline. And so that's the conspiracy theory. I'm going to ask EJ Antoni, is that a conspiracy theory or is it a theory? But I actually find this really interesting because there are a lot of people that will say that the U.S. is able to sort of artificially prop up the U.S. dollar because all of these countries use the U.S. dollar to pay for their oil and gasoline. And so EJ Antoni is going to fill in on some of the blanks there. But really interesting. There are some people that will say that this is absolutely why we are attacking Iran. This is why we went after Iraq. I think Kuwait is in there as well. So China and Russia, by the way, we're going to talk about this with EJ and Tony. But China and Russia have also been talking about moving away from using the American dollar. And so we'll have to talk about that. But they do. They call them Petrodollars. And we'll talk to EJ and Tony about that coming up here at 6:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Now, a couple of other things real quick. Virginia. Yeah, this is bad. So Virginia, we've been talking about this referendum that they passed in Virginia. You know, it's interesting that there are people that are saying that what happened in Virginia, where they basically passed a referendum so that the state legislature can redraw the district lines in Virginia, going from, 6-5 in the House of Representatives, 6-5 Republicans to Democrats, or I should say Democrats to Republicans, I think. Is it 6 Democrats? Look that up, Joan.
Yeah, it was 6 Democrats to 5 Republicans.
Okay, 6 Democrats to 5 Republicans. Mm-hmm. Now, after last night's referendum, they're leaving it to the state legislature to effectively redraw the state lines so that it'll be 10 Democrats to 1 Republican in the House of Representatives. So this is going to be really, really bad for Republicans in the House of Representatives. I mean, I'm not going to say that all is lost for the House of Representatives because you know what's next up on the list, Joan? Florida. Because really what's been going on, right, is it's almost like an arms race. That's what's going on. It's like a redistricting arms race, and it started in Texas. So you've got, I think, Missouri as well, California, now Virginia. And this is something that, isn't going to stop until the midterm elections. The question is now, because they're having a special session in the state legislature for the state of Florida, because they're talking about if they do it in Florida, then we can make up some of that ground that we've now lost in Virginia. But when you look at how, just wildly, and I mean wildly, they have gerrymandered in the state of Virginia, it's terrible. And I do understand that Republicans do it too. And we've all
Doesn't this make you even more mad about what happened in Indiana?
State legislature said they're not going to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it irritates the living crap out of me. But, here's the deal. You can't rah-rah what is going on in Texas and then complain about what's going on in Virginia. But here's the deal. This is an all-out war. That's the problem. We are right now in an all-out political war. And so, as a matter of fact, when you hear what Hakeem Jeffries had to say,
oh boy,
it makes you even angrier that these folks, the Republicans, John Thune in the Senate, will not look at eliminating the filibuster. Because basically Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader in the House, who stands to gain a lot of political power if the Democrats regain the House of Representatives because of all of this gerrymandering and what they'll do. And John Thune, he simply will not eliminate the filibuster in the Senate, meaning that the first hour, Donald Trump said this yesterday, the first hour that the Democrats have power in the House of Representatives, and Lord help us if they get the Senate, they'll do it. They will absolutely do it, and the Democrats will have such insurmountable power that the Republicans will never be able to get any kind of power again because, as we talked about with Hans von Spakovsky, they'll eliminate any kind of voter ID laws, and they'll make it very easy to cheat. That's what the Democrats want to do. Republicans want to do just the opposite. The Republicans want to make it easy to vote, hard to cheat. The Democrats want to make it easy to cheat, and that's what they want to do, and that is what they will do if they get the power in the House of Representatives and the Senate and the White House. I've got some audio on this. It is 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Eastern split, 40 westbound at 2440 East, exit 213A. There's a crash in the second right lane.
far as your weather goes, sunny, warm, and a high of 83 degrees. So Republicans are despondent this morning about what has happened in Virginia. This is a guy named Shermichael Singleton. He is on CNN.
I mean, look, I'm not happy about this. What we're seeing is a gradual destruction of incentives in our country. So what happens when you create an atmosphere and an environment where compromise no longer exists? Yeah, maybe this is good for Democrats today, but is it good for the long run? Probably not. For 4 years, there was an argument from my friends on the other side about democracy falling in darkness. Well, how in the hell is this preserving democracy? And look, I'm not saying that one side over the other doesn't gerrymander. Hell, they all gerrymander. It's just not a good thing at all. The American people don't benefit from this. And as someone who resides in Virginia, where you have, what, 40+% of the state that voted for the current president, rather, leaving only one Republican congressional seat seems to be in force of democracy and protecting the Constitution and the preservation of these great ideals? I would think not.
Yeah, and people are pointing out that and I know this, the Virginia Supreme Court is going to look at this. Most people are saying the chances that the Virginia Supreme Court is going to look at this and say, no, you cannot do this, slim to none, because it was the Supreme Court there in Virginia who said that they could have this referendum in the first place. So, look, I hate to say it, but the current set of gerrymandering was started by President Trump when he told the state of Texas to start with the mid-decade redistricting efforts. But this goes back, years. So the current set, what did we call it before? We called it an arms race of sorts with this gerrymandering. Trump started it, state of Texas, and we all talked about it. So now it's really up to the state of Florida. It went from the state of Texas, then you had the state of California, you've had some other states as well. Now you have Florida looking at this. But Virginia is a complete and utter nightmare for Republicans. Now we're talking about Democrats will have flipped the total. Here's the numbers. Democrats will have flipped a total of roughly 8 to 10 seats when all of this is over. We'll have to see what happens in Florida. Republicans 7 to 9 seats. In other words, Democrats will have a net gain of about 1 or 2 seats. Now, when you have a very, very slim majority in the House of Representatives, that's all it takes. In today's climate, we have an unpopular president. We've got gas prices and costs have gone up, a war that is unpopular, history not on our side because typically the party in power ends up losing the midterms. 2027 through 2028 is going to be a rough year for Republicans, rural Virginians as well, because the rural Virginians, by and large, they voted for Republicans. And now, guess what? They get to be represented by Democrats. And so we could be in for, number one, a disastrous midterm election. We'll have to wait and see what happens during the presidential campaign. Scott Jennings had a few things to say about this as well. And again, everybody knows that this is something that has been going on. It's not something new. This has been going on for years, even before Donald Trump. But right now, for the Republicans, we're looking at this, and we're looking at what happened in Virginia as a big loss.
Virginia literally had the fairest maps in the nation. They had a 6-5 map, 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans. In terms of proportional representation, they had the fairest map in the nation that was drawn, by the way, by an independent commission that the voters asked for just a few years ago. Now they will have the least fair maps in the nation. And I'm not surprised that the yes vote won. They had all the money and all the lies. And sometimes in politics, when you got those two things, you can put something over the line. Even something as egregious as this whole thing has driven Spamberger's approval ratings down into the toilet.
Well, and he says that, and I'll let him finish. He says that, but at the same time, they came out in droves. The Democrats came out in droves to vote this in.
Lied to the people of Virginia. They had to write a ballot question that was a joke. They drew maps that were a joke. Now you're going to have huge chunks of rural Virginia represented by 5 or 6 Democrats who all live in northern Virginia within about 15 miles of each other. It's a complete joke. Everybody knows it. And there's a reason that all these national Democrats and all their money came into Virginia because, they don't really care about the people of Virginia. They just care about power.
Yep. And that is Scott Jennings. And by the way, he's right. We laughed about this question the other day. What was the question that Scott Jennings talked about? Should the Constitution of Virginia be amended to allow the General Assembly to temporarily adopt new congressional districts to, wait for it, restore fairness in the upcoming elections while ensuring Virginia's standard redistricting process resumes for all future redistricting after the 2030 census?
Now, I think the question now is, will they be able to challenge this in court with enough time to stop it from taking effect for the upcoming elections?
Well, and as I said a few minutes ago, the Virginia Supreme Court, most court watchers are watching this and saying that more than likely the Virginia Supreme Court will allow this because it was a referendum that the people of Virginia voted on. So,
but don't you? What about that wording? Would the wording make it suspect in a court?
I would think.
Yeah,
I would think. You know what? Fingers crossed, Joan, and fingers crossed if Florida decides to do some redistricting as well. All right, 6:22, and Joan's got the news coming up at 6:30. Joan.
Yeah, there's an odd fire that's happening right now in Murray County. We'll tell you about it. It's a bunch of trees, and the story behind that is coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Are they just doing like burning? Is that what they're doing? Maybe, Joan?
You don't think I'm going to tell you the whole story before I tell the story?
No, not you, Joan.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you, Joan. Burning trees.
Yeah.
Coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know what happens, Joan, in my neighborhood?
What's that?
When people burn trees, you know what I do? I close my Window Nation windows.
Oh, that was good.
How's
Dan.
that for a professional radio segue?
This is why you get all the big awards.
I've got 4 Window Nation windows in my home, including 2 in my downstairs basement studio. I've also got 1 in my kitchen and 1 in the upstairs bedroom. Now, this is a great company, so if you need new windows, you've got to go through Window Nation. You can get new energy-efficient windows at a great price. They're right now in the middle of their The More You Buy, The More You Save sale. It is going on right now. You could save up to 50% off all the windows in your home, and you could get them with 0% interest financing for 5 years. Window Nation. They've got an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, an A+ rating from yours truly, 96% customer satisfaction rating, and over 45,000 5-star reviews. Find them online anytime. Tell them Dan told you to reach out, windownation.com. Don't forget, right now, The More You Buy, The More You Save sale going on right now. Save 50% off all the windows for your home. You could get them with 0% interest financing for 5 years. Find them online, windownation.com. That's windownation.com.
Saturdays at 7 a.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m.
Dan Mandis here, 624 Nashville's Morning News. The Generator Super Center is my place for backup home standby generators. You should check them out. You know, there's a lot of different ways that we can lose power, right? Ice storms, snow, tornadoes. But there's one surefire way to get that power back on in your home. That is a backup generator from the Generator Super Center. That's right. Now, the Generator Super Center is the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. They feature turnkey installation, certified installations, and plumbers, maintenance, and service after the install, and a whole lot more. Now, let me tell you how it works. Basically, the power goes out in your neighborhood. The power in your home turns right back on, thanks to your backup generator from the Generator Super Center. So if you're one of the many families across Middle Tennessee talking about a backup generator, talk to the pros at the Generator Super Center. By the way, another reason to love the Generator Super Center, their generators are made right here in the good old USA. They'll never leave you in the dark, and financing is available. They are waiting for your call. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-879-1952, 615-879-1952. Generator Supercenter of Nashville.com, Generator Supercenter of Nashville.com. .629, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, so Joan, people are chiming in on where they are listening because I said the one dude is listening in Iceland.
Yeah, I saw that.
Another guy listening on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool, too.
Love it.
Can I just say that when people tell me that they are listening from, like, way far away, there's so much pressure to have it be like a good show.
Yeah.
Like, Joan, this newscast cannot suck. This interview that I've got coming up with E.J. Antoni on Petrodollars, this interview also cannot suck.
Yeah.
So the pressure's on because people are listening while on vacation. And I appreciate the fact that they do. So, Joan Jones with the news right now on WTN.
It's now 6:30. And I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. President Trump says he'll hold off on resuming military strikes on Iran for now. It comes after Iran refused to come to the negotiating table yesterday. Andrew Boreen is a senior fellow of the National Security Institute, tells ABC News that the president made the right call.
I find it highly unlikely that this administration would in any way agree to continued uranium enrichment. I also find it highly unlikely that this U.S. administration would agree in any way to the continuation of Iran's regional ballistic missile capacity at this point.
Meantime, 3 ships have been attacked in the Strait of Hormuz since then. One of them is a container ship from the UK, which said it was fired on by a gunboat belonging to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard. The ship has sustained heavy damage to its bridge. Locally, a traffic stop on I-40, this was in Haywood County in West Tennessee, ended as a big drug bust. News 2's Peyton Kennedy.
K9 detected narcotics, and agents located a secret compartment that contained about 16 pounds of fentanyl plus horse tranquilizer. The Drug Task Force says that these drugs would sell for about $500,000 on the street.
Investigators say the drugs were coming from Compton, California, and headed to Knoxville. Murray County firefighters are on the scene of a fire at a pile of burning trees. That's the sound of the fire trucks on the scene right now. That pile was vegetation debris that had been collected from around the county after an ice storm. The ice storm in January, Fox 17 saying that an incinerator had been used to burn off some of that debris, but embers had escaped and lit the piles on fire. The city of Columbia is monitoring that fire this morning. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 632 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Metis here for my friends at Contours. Listen, summer is but months away, but the work to get that beach bod back begins right now. My friends at Contours, they can help you get it back with FDA-cleared red light technology. Now, Contours is going to help you target those areas that you hate, whether it is your belly, your arms, your legs, whatever problem area you have, they can solve that problem. No pain, no surgery, no downtime, just results. Now, real men and women from Franklin and all across Middle Tennessee have been checking out Contours, yes, seeing real results as well. Your beach trip isn't that far away, and neither is Contours. Let Contours help you get rid of those trouble spots. And right now, the first 10 callers get a special introductory price of just $99. Now, that phone number, call right now, 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960. Remember, you lose 2 inches across the middle, or it is free. Contours, they are experts in FDA-cleared red light technology. Find them online, ContoursLLC.com. That is ContoursLLC.com. Contours, where all you've got to lose is inches.
Got an accident near Smyrna High School this morning that has Lee Victory Parkway closed off. Westbound side, Bulldog Drive to Old Nashville Highway. A vehicle there struck a pole, and looks like they've closed off the highway while they cleaned it up. Careful in that area. Eastern split at I-40 westbound, right at I-24. There's a crash. It's now in the Gore. Yeah, south side area, 40 westbound at Hermitage Avenue. There's a crash on the right shoulder. And then one more in the Fisk-Meharry area, Jefferson Street at I-40. There is a crash there. That one may involve some injuries as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.636 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What is the Petrodollar and how it can impact your life? I've heard a lot about this and how this could be at the center of the war in Iran. Want to check in with EJ Antoni on the history of the Petrodollar and what it has to do with Iran. EJ, of course, always great to have you on, and you're a lead economist at the Heritage Foundation. So basically, the Petrodollar, the fact that U.S. currency is used by other countries all over the world, why is the U.S. dollar used by even Middle Eastern countries to purchase oil?
Well, because we got them to agree to it. Well, in short, the advantage of the petrodollar is the fact that it provides a way to absorb literally trillions of dollars that are floating around the world. It provides an extra source of demand for dollars. And the whole reason that's important is because you need something to balance out the massive supply of dollars. Now, where is that massive supply coming from? It's coming from the perpetual deficits that this country runs. It's in the exact same way that before the petrodollar, you had something called the Bretton Woods system, which was where the United States dollar was essentially used to conduct international commerce. Again, this is all about trying to create a way to absorb all of the trillions of dollars in deficits that we have been exporting around the world in the post-war era.
Interesting. And you're talking about Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, the United Arab Emirates, Japan, India, to name just a few. So these countries have to actually go out and get U.S. dollars in order to use them to purchase oil. And I guess they do this in a number of different ways. They sell things to America, trade, foreign investment. How does all that work?
Well, the primary way in which they've been getting all those dollars is simply through regular international trade. There are some additional ways, but again, the primary one is simply the fact that we buy stuff from them. We buy stuff from them. They give us stuff. We give them dollars. Now, what the heck are they going to do with all those dollars, right? Ordinarily, they would simply turn those dollars right back around to the United States and buy things from us. But again, that's not how the current monetary order is structured. So what happens instead is all of those dollars stay out floating around the globe, and they're basically used to conduct international commerce. You have things like oil trade, which is settled in dollars, but then you also, in addition to that, you have a lot of countries that use the dollar as a reserve currency. They keep it in their central banks, for example. And so once more, we go back to this idea of all of these different mechanisms are ways to find uses for dollars, to provide additional demand for dollars, and to soak up all of that excess supply of United States dollars that we have created with perpetual trillion-dollar deficits.
Yeah, this helps our economy, obviously. I mean, it seems like it to me. This clearly helps our economy, helps prop up the U.S. dollar. This is good for the people not only in Middle Tennessee, but across the country.
Oh, yeah, sure, absolutely. Because, again, what happens, we need to do a bit of a counterfactual, I guess, Dan. What happens if you don't have all of these mechanisms to soak up dollars around the world? What's going to happen to all those dollars? Well, we just said that ordinarily, after we give foreigners dollars for stuff, they turn around and give us all our dollars back and ask for things. Well, that would be literally trillions of dollars all flooding back to the United States to try to compete with our dollars domestically for additional products and services. In other words, you'd have many more dollars chasing the same amount of products and services. That would be a massive inflation. Another way to think of this is how the United States has been exporting inflation around the world literally for decades.
How did the other countries feel about this? I know that Russia and China, they've been trying to skirt the system of the petrodollars and use their own currency, I guess. So did the other countries, have they accepted this? I mean, I know, again, Russia and China aren't real happy about this. So how does the rest of the world feel about using the U.S. dollar?
Well, it's certainly mixed. And what we have seen is that things have not ended well for countries that try to skirt the system, shall we say. So there's, for example, there are a bunch of people who theorize that the real reason we invaded Iraq and overthrew Saddam was because he pulled his country off of the petrodollar system and started transacting in other currencies like the euro. Now, I don't have any evidence for that, but I'm just saying if you look at the record of history, the countries, again, who try to skirt the system and who try to do something else, something bad always seems to happen to them. Now, some of that is also just simply the fact that the dollar is still the dominant currency when it comes to international commerce. And so if you're trying to use something else, you automatically turn yourself into a bit of a pariah in many instances, because what do people want? Well, they want dollars because they know that they can use that in the future. In other words, I'm willing to trade in dollars right now to accept more dollars because I am confident that in the future I'll be able to offload those dollars onto something else and that they will still have relatively close to the same value they have today.
Some people are saying that the petrodollar is at the root of the current war. The theory goes that Iran has been trying to sell oil outside of the petrodollar system, so we attacked them. Other examples, and you just touched on a country or two. You've got Iraq, Libya, again, now Iran. So would you say that that is I don't know, you kind of just answered it, but I'm going to ask it maybe a different way. Is that a conspiracy theory or a theory that the root of this war is that Iran is trying to, as you said, skirt the system of the petrodollar?
Well, it's one of those ideas that pops up, and I don't even think it meets the definition of either a theory or a conspiracy theory, because at least with something like a conspiracy theory, there's some evidence for it. You might say, wow, that's a bit of a stretch. A lot of unknowns would all have to line up in the right direction, but maybe. I mean, I just don't even think it meets that. At the end of the day, again, I just don't see the evidence for it. All of the different sanctions that we have been throwing on Iran, same as countries like Russia, right? They've already been having to use other mechanisms to try to get around those different sanctions. And Iran just isn't a big enough player, frankly, I think, to justify it. So I just don't see really any evidence for it.
It is 6:45. E.J. Antoni is joining us, lead economist for the Heritage Foundation. In the news right now, E.J., looks like Iran has said that it has now seized a couple of ships. I'm going to take a quick check on traffic. Coming up, going to ask you some news of the day kind of stuff regarding what is going on in the Strait of Hormuz. It is 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN.
We've got an accident at 40. No problems on 24 or 65. I'm Christy O'Brien.
Sunny and warm today and a high of 83. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. All right, so EJ, just some news of the day. Of course, we've been covering this all morning long. President Trump extending the ceasefire. The Strait of Hormuz currently still is closed. Now Iran is saying that it has seized a couple of ships. NBC, by the way, is saying that they have seized 3 ships. So it doesn't look like the Strait of Hormuz, I don't know, do you see this opening up anytime soon?
I really don't, unfortunately. this is part of the problem with this whole conflict. You sit there, you scratch your head, and you say, what is our exit strategy here? Like, what is our plan to extricate ourselves out of this and return to regular order in terms of international trade? And I don't know what the answers are there. Now, maybe that's because, look, my expertise is economics. It's not the military. It's not geopolitics or any of those things. So maybe I'm just too far out of my lane right now. But again, I just don't see how this ends well for us. I don't know what the exit strategy ever was, if there was one. Now, maybe there is a grand plan, and maybe there is a very clear path to victory here. I just don't know what it is. I can't see it from sitting where I am.
So we're a long way off. It seems to me we're a long way off from the Strait of Hormuz being opened back up. I forget who it was. Somebody in the Trump administration had said that it's going to take a while for the price of gas, once this whole thing is over with, to get back down to, $3 levels, which is consistent with what a lot of people have said, including you. But President Trump came out and he corrected the official from the Trump administration. I wish I could remember who it was, but
Chris Wright.
Chris Wright. Thank you, Joan. Chris Wright was saying it's going to take a while for the price of gas to get back down. So, I mean, do you have an updated opinion on when the Strait of Hormuz opens back up? 3 months, 6 months, a year before the price of gas gets back down to $3? President Trump seems a lot more optimistic.
Well, I mean, define open, right? When it comes to the Strait, does that mean Iran is not charging any tolls? Look, I'm kind of the opinion at this point. I say, the heck with it. Let them charge a toll. What Iran wants to charge only amounts to about $1 a barrel in terms of these super tankers that are going through the Strait. In other words, it's really not that much. It's not even 2 percentage points, right? And if oil is over $100 a barrel, it's less than 1 percentage point of a price increase. So it's not that big of a deal. I would much rather see the large flows of oil coming through the Strait. That's going to help put a heck of a lot more downward pressure on the global price than a toll is going to put upward pressure. So, look, again, define open on the Strait. And then the other problem is, who knows what the heck we're going to do, or Israel's going to do, or Iran is going to do in literally the next 6 hours, let alone 6 days or weeks or months. So we just have no idea how this thing is going to play out, unfortunately. And that's why it's so difficult to tell when is oil going back down. Now, one thing I can say pretty definitively, you are not going to see oil come back down to pre-war prices anytime soon. It may get close, but the issue here, Dan, is the fact that at this point in the conflict, you have had oil infrastructure damaged and destroyed. That represents supply that is taken offline for a considerable amount of time. As just one example, I believe it's Qatar. They have a gas field that is out of commission for 3 to 5 years. That's how long it's going to take to repair it and get it back up to pre-war operating levels. So if it's going to take you a while to get to pre-war supply, it's going to take you a while to get to pre-war prices as well. That means we're looking at prices coming down once the conflict subsides, but not prices going back down to pre-war levels. They may get close, but they won't quite get there.
And a lot of infrastructure has obviously been damaged or destroyed. Now there's talk of the U.S. trying to take over Karg Island once again, but we'll leave it there. EJ, always great to have you on. Great insight as always, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you for having me, Dan.
All right, it is 6:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So Iran says they have seized 2 ships. You're telling me, Joan, NBC is saying it's 3 ships?
Yes.
And who? So they've actually seized these ships.
They're saying they seized 2 of the ships, and then the other one is badly damaged. That's the one from the UK.
So do we know who owns these ships that Iran has now seized?
Let me see if I can go back and find.
Because I bet you America can seize them from Iran.
You would think, right? Okay, so now this is what the Wall Street Journal is saying. I have that most easily at hand. 2 ships came under attack in the Strait of Hormuz. the Iranian gunboat. So they're using those gunboats that we were talking about, the Mosquito, whatever, fired on a container ship northeast of Oman before a second vessel reported being fired on off the coast of Iran. The two incidents occurred within hours of each other, demonstrating that while the aerial war between the U.S. and Iran is on pause, the fight for control of the strait continues. The U.S. is expected to maintain pressure.
There's just a lot going on.
Yeah, they're not. Okay, here's what they say they know. UK maritime authorities said a container ship reported being fired on 15 nautical miles northeast of Oman by a gunboat belonging to Iran's Revolutionary Guard. The ship sustained heavy damage to its bridge. Maritime security company Vanguard said the ship was the Liberia-flagged ship, and I'm not even going to attempt that name, came under attack. The ship's tracking data showed it as having been off the coast of Western United Arab Emirates. And Vanguard said that the vessel had been informed that it had permission to transit the strait before it was fired upon. Now, the second ship is a cargo ship, a cargo vessel. Iran, and it says it was forced to stop in the water because of that attack.
All right.
So not a whole lot of information about, where the boats came from, the ships came from. One of them said, one report that I read said that one of the ships is right now stationed off the coast of Iran. That would be that UK ship that has now been disabled. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep checking out what's happening there.
I hope that everybody's okay on that UK ship.
Yeah, me too.
They should have helped us.
They should help us. And what they're doing right now, the United Kingdom is assembling a group of countries to figure out how to open up the strait.
Yeah.
And that's nice. But
that's nice. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, what are they going to do?
Hey, by the way, when I say hello to an electrician working on the new Titan Stadium, 7792, he's listening this early Wednesday morning as he's doing whatever electricians do out there at the stadium.
So maybe he's got it on speaker. So, hi, guys.
Hello, and thank you for listening. All right, 6:53. Joan's got the news coming up at 7. Joan, what do you got?
Yeah, so we'll have more about what's happening there in Iran this morning. And also, police in Spring Hill looking for two gunmen who busted into a house during the overnight hours. That story is coming up here at 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:58, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, so Brian Wilson, it's Wednesday, so Brian Wilson is coming up next, and looking forward to that. Hey, do you want to hear the latest inductee into the TDS Hall of Fame, Joan? So
Yeah.
this is a mom who's got, this is video only, but because she had a lot of curse words, and we don't have video equipment here. So she is talking about going to see her son, I believe, her son or daughter, in college.
I'm just taking a moment at the beach to just breathe. I've just had an emergency preparedness family meeting with my college student who's at the dorm about 20 miles away about what our plans are. Making sure they've got their go bag ready to go just in case.
Go bags.
I'm so exhausted parenting through this. I have no forgiveness to give.
You know, maybe she can go to Cuba. Because
she could go just about anywhere and relieve us all.
Yeah, because Pramila Jayapal said Cuba's healthcare system is better than America's.
Yeah.
So if she wants to go to Cuba, please, by all means, go to Cuba. A lot of TDS out there this morning. It is 6:59, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan's got the news coming up next right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 7 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The peace talks are officially off, and the blockade remains in place. Where we are now in the Iran ceasefire with ABC's Mary Bruce.
This is now indefinite, and it comes, of course, as the president had even been threatening to resume attacks. But he now says that Pakistan asked him to hold off on any further attacks. And he says he is complying, but he says he is not going to do the one thing that the Iranians were asking of him, and that is to end the blockade on Iranian ports.
The president posting on social media overnight that Iran is collapsing financially because it's losing $500 million a day due to the strait being closed down. Also happening overnight, 3 ships have been reported being fired upon in the Strait of Hormuz. The UK says Iran has fired on one of its container ships, heavily damaging the bridge. And Iranian state media reports that Iran has taken custody of 2 other vessels, a Panama flagship and one flagged for Liberia. Police in Spring Hill still searching for 2 men who broke into a home in the overnight hours Monday. The family telling police the men were armed. It's not sure if they stole anything from that home. Nobody was injured. The incident has neighbors rethinking their security plans.
I just thought for a second there, I wish I had more safety features in my house.
I had my backyard doors now fixed it because we were not locking any doors.
Those neighbors speaking to WSMV4. Police are asking any neighbors living near that Boxbury Lane home to check surveillance cameras to help them find the intruders. Democrats have one less vote in the House of Representatives. Sheila Sherfilis McCormick resigning from Congress right before a vote that could have ended her political career.
Just minutes before the committee was set to meet. She issues this statement, Congresswoman Sherfilis McCormick, and she says, quote, "Rather than play these political games, I choose to step away so that I can devote my time to fighting for my neighbors in Florida's 20th district." She really brought it down to the wire, and she largely did it because there was this expected expulsion vote that was likely to happen after the committee made its recommendations in the House really any day now.
ABC's Jay O'Brien there. She is accused of embezzling $5 million of FEMA funds. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. We've got stock futures pointing up. Dow futures are plus 288. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Dan Mendes here for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I'm going to give you a website that could change your life, painisbad.com. Check out the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They helped me with my chronic back and neck pain. they can help you as well if you've got that chronic back or neck pain, if you've got sciatica, slipped or bulging spinal discs, herniated discs, spinal stenosis, numbness or weakness in the arms and legs, fingers or toes. They can be a past memory because the Wellness Institute of Nashville, they can help you with non-surgical spinal decompression. And here's the deal. Right now, it is cheaper than ever, 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression when you call 615-246-5009 and mention that you heard about them on WTN and Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis. That phone number, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009. But here's the deal. Not only are they experts in non-surgical spinal decompression, but they've also got robotic lasers, anti-gravity machines, cryo machines, stem cell stimulation machines, all at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Find them online, painisbad.com. That website, one more time, it's painisbad.com.
Okay, so we are looking at some delays this morning on 24, very slow through the looks like through the Smyrna area into Laverne this morning. Westbound side, of course, Lee Victory Parkway near the Smyrna High School is still closed down. Just that right lane closed down. Westbound side of Lee Victory Parkway between Bulldog Drive and McWilliams Drive. That was a car that struck a pole there, and we're being told that that was a fatal accident as well. 24 in the eastbound lanes at Cedar Hill, just before Maxey Road, there's a crash reported. Also in Greenbrier, Springfield Highway at Greer Road. Got another accident there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.707, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here along with Joan Jones. It is Wednesday. That means Brian Wilson joins us Wednesdays with Wilson. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Spending my days, lately dealing with training a new puppy at our house. And so
you got a new
chaotic.
puppy, did you?
Yeah, we got another French bulldog. Like we needed a hole in our head. But I'm telling you, this boy is so cute. His name is Bo, and we're breaking him in. And then in the midst of all that, my wife, Cabana wife, is apparently quite the deer slayer, in that she's coming back from visiting her family in Michigan on Sunday and kills 2 deer. She hit 2 deer with her car
in one shot.
Yeah, 2 in one shot. I mean, and apparently, the car's totaled, so we had to deal with that over the weekend.
Yeah, the Cabana wife is okay.
Yeah, she's fine. She was the airbag did go off.
Nice.
And it was that bad, but the car's pretty messed up, and
I didn't know
we're trying to figure out, what she's going to drive. So that's our chaos. But
I didn't know that Joan apparently doesn't care about how the deer are.
No.
How did she kill the deer?
We know she killed one, and the other one has never been found. So we don't know.
Well, I bet you all the other deer are going to be hiding too.
She's coming down the road.
And then here's in the moment, you have a thing like that. You have a little car wreck, and you say, well, you're amped up. You're just trying to get back on the road. And so, honestly, she got over to a car rental place pretty quickly. The State Patrol in Ohio took her over there, and she got a car. She's back on the road within an hour, and she got all the way home, realized, I left some pretty important stuff in that car. So she had to turn around yesterday and drive round trip back to Cincinnati.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's like crazy stuff. That was on Monday, actually.
Yeah, well, listen, glad she's okay.
Yeah, we're glad.
And good luck with the new French Bulldog. I think you're crazy. The last thing I want to do when I retire, Brian, you're doing 2 things that I have always said I will never do when I retire. Number one is work. And number 2 is deal with a puppy. But you know what? Good on you if you're able to do it.
I got to get this little dog Bo house trained, but we're working on it.
All right, very good. Let's talk about the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, you, my friend, have been talking about and covering these folks for decades. Were you shocked at the news yesterday? Well, first of all, and Joan and I were talking about this earlier, but go ahead and just talk about what we discovered yesterday with these folks.
It's a false flag operation. It's hard to fathom, but apparently, in order to, I'm guessing, to raise money, they would spend money to support like the KKK and the Aryan Nation and all of the people that they purport to be against. They would send them money to keep them alive so they would still be able to raise money for their organization. If this turns out to be a true allegation, and I don't know why it wouldn't be. Apparently this was looked at by the Biden people, and they took a pass on it, and it got revived under the Trump administration. So, this is, reprehensible activity.
Brian, isn't it great,
sort
though?
Of confirms what we've always thought, that there's a lot of false flag operations out there.
Isn't it great, though, Brian, that there isn't enough hate in America that now the Southern Poverty Law Center has to start funding hate to be relevant?
Yeah, the Ku Klux Klan, the United Klans of America, the Nationalist Socialist Party of America, the Aryan Nations, the Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club. They were hiring people to go out there and cause problems and supporting them so they would still be relevant, which is just, unbelievable. If this holds up, this is pretty amazing stuff. Tells you how far the left will go to make their case.
Well, Joan and I were talking about this earlier. They'll designate Moms for Liberty, for example, as a hate organization, or PragerU as some sort of a hate organization. And it's just, for me, I was honest earlier during the show, Brian. I have stopped giving any kind of credibility to the Southern Poverty Law Center for years. None of this surprises me. Does it surprise you?
Yeah, it does. It's so so beyond the pale to do this. You claim to be an organization that fights racism and poverty and all of these things, and that the only way that you can remain relevant is to fund your opponents to keep them alive.
Yeah,
that's just. I don't think many Americans, if they take the time to understand this story, are gonna be very happy about this. This is, and I have a suspicion, and I always have, that this is probably not the only organization on the left that does such things.
Do we know how long the FBI had been working with the Southern Poverty Law Center?
Well, they've had a relationship during Democrat administrations for a long time, and apparently, Kash Patel came in and undid all that. It's funny. You look at Kash Patel; he's sort of under some attack. He's filed a defamation suit against a journalism organization that claims that he's a drunk, basically. And he says not true, and the things that you've said are not true. And if they can't win against Trump, what they are starting to do is go after the entire lineup. Okay, well, we can't get Trump, but maybe we can get, the FBI director. Maybe we can get this guy. Maybe we can get this person. And they're just going to be coming after everybody. I think Americans are getting really tired of sort of this stuff that the Democrats come and they claim all these outrageous things that are going on. The outrageous behavior is on the part of people like the Southern Poverty Law Center, and I suspect others that have been doing, all of this bad stuff with these false flag operations. It's reprehensible. It really is.
All right, coming up, Brian Wilson joining us. Coming up, Brian, we're going to talk about what is going on in Iran. They've taken over a couple of ships now, at least 2 or 3. We'll get into the latest coming up from the Strait of Hormuz. Right now, though, time to check the roads on WTN.
Cedar Hill, 24 eastbound before Maxey Road. We've got reports of a crash. Greenbrier, Springfield Highway, there's an accident at Greer Road. Fisk, Mahari, Jefferson Street, east of 40. We've got an accident with emergency crews on the scene. No problems on... Got covered patio. I'm Christy O'Brien.
Sunny and warm, high of 83 today. Brian Wilson joining us. All right, so Brian, President Trump, on the one hand, he is going to continue the ceasefire till further notice, while also still threatening to bomb Iran and kill all of its leaders. And Iran, of course, they have taken over a couple, 2, 3 ships. They fired upon a ship out of the UK, and things seem to be... I don't know. It seems to me like even though the ceasefire has been extended, it does seem to me like things are escalating.
Well, it may be. I don't know. My sense of this is that, the Iranians, when you imagine, there had been an attack against our country and 5 layers of leadership had been demolished. God forbid something like that would ever happen. But imagine that would happen. Can you imagine the chaos that the country would be in? And I suspect that's what's going on inside Iran. They're in absolute meltdown. They've lost levels and levels and levels of leadership. And politics abhors a vacuum. So in a situation like that, the leaders are gone. What's going to happen? Well, the people underneath who had ambition are going to try to fill that vacuum. And really, it's hard to know who's in charge. So I have a feeling that the negotiators are negotiating with people that they believe are in charge. But the left hand in Iran doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And as soon as we get some kind of deal with Iran that looks like, well, this will resolve the matter and we can move forward, somebody out here in left field who doesn't know anything about those negotiations says, oh, no, we won't. And they happen to have weaponry and they can cause problems. I just think that there's so much chaos that it's hard to know if you're dealing with the right people. And I think that's going to take a little time to sort out. A lot of people have said, well, during the pause, the Iranians are rebuilding. They're rebuilding. And, as soon as the ceasefire is over, they're going to be ready to launch again. Well, guess what? So have we. We've been rebuilding. If you've been watching lately, there's a whole bunch of flights that are coming out of Europe, military bases in Europe that are going to that region to resupply our troops. So I heard the president say he doesn't believe we have a problem with resupply. And so we're ready, if this thing can't be resolved, to really go after it, I think, and go after them again. I don't think they want that, but I think it's hard for us to identify who actually is in charge over there. And when we find somebody and we think that they're the person to deal with, apparently the left hand doesn't notify the right hand that negotiations are underway.
There's a couple of things going on. Number one, you've got their leader that is apparently way underground. He's been injured, of course, as well. So you have that issue with communication. You also have the new guy with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, who apparently is one of the hardliners. Yeah. And he is amongst hardliners. He is a hardliner. So, and Brian, you know this, whenever there's a power vacuum and these kinds of things, then the question is, okay, well then who is in charge? And that's one of the questions Donald Trump has said, and people have been saying, okay, so how do we know that we're negotiating with the proper person? And I don't know the answer to that question, because at the end of the day, you've got at least two, maybe even more groups out there that are claiming that they are the ones in charge.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably the way this is going to end is that we're going to go back in this ceasefire, if it doesn't resolve in some kind of deal that everybody can be happy with and everybody can adhere to. And again, if the left hand in Iran agrees to a deal, does the right hand agree to it? And do they keep causing problems? It's hard to know. But one way, if you can get a deal, fine. If not, then we hit them one more time really, really hard. We have pretty good intelligence on where these people are. And if we want to take out another level of leadership, I think we can do that pretty easily. I just believe that everybody says, well, what's the end game? I think the end game is, make sure they're disabled, make sure that you've hit them hard, and if you have to, just walk away. When you walk away, the Iranians are going to open back up the Strait of Hormuz. Now, they might try to charge people to come through the Strait of Hormuz. They've come other things to work out, but it's in their best interest to open the Strait of Hormuz and try to, get, because there's nothing coming into Iran or going out of Iran right now because of that blockade. So we get out of the way, they reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and they are damaged for decades.
VA redistricting. Boy, I wasn't really surprised at the fact that the fine people of Virginia have decided that the Democrats should get a big advantage in the House of Representatives for the state of Virginia. 10 Democrats to 1 Republican. Were you surprised by this?
Not surprised, because I feel like the Democrats are pretty good about getting out the vote in an off-year election like this. This is the kind of thing that really it's all about getting out the vote, and they've been pretty good. And it may be that Virginia has become not purple but a blue state. We'll have to see how that works out. But I mean, just stop for a moment. Look at the results. 48.5% of the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia who voted in this election, and I don't think it was a widely attended election. Maybe I'm wrong, but one way or the other, 48.5% said no, we don't want this redistricting plan. So you're giving them 1 out of 10 districts, and 48, and that for the 48.5% of the people who think that this is a bad idea. I mean, obviously, there are a lot of basically half of Virginia has been had its franchise disenfranchised.
Yep.
And I think this probably ends up in the courts, and I think it probably comes back, and I think they'll probably find this to be unconstitutional. But one way or the other, it's not surprising, but it certainly is wrong to deny all of these people who are conservatives in the Commonwealth of Virginia the opportunity to be represented by people that they like. They have cut them out of the process, and that's not democracy in my mind.
All right, so this is a big deal. Starbucks is coming to Middle Tennessee, bringing in a whole bunch of jobs. They're, getting a whole bunch of real estate in order, and they're moving some headquarters here, from what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm surprised by this one. I mean, of all the organizations out there that you think of being leftist organizations, you got to put Starbucks up there at the top. They've been pretty loony left for a long, long time.
Commie coffee is what people call them around here on the morning show. Commie coffee.
Yeah, I got you. I agree. But they apparently have decided that the financial situation is such that they need to put I guess a regional headquarters office. They're still going to be based out of Seattle, they say, but they're going to hire 1,000 people or something. So that's good. I'm glad for the economic development. I just worry about who are you bringing to town, and how does that change the politics? 1,000 people probably doesn't make a big difference, but it doesn't help the conservative cause. I'm glad for the economic development. I am concerned about who they end up bringing in here and how it changes the dynamics and the sort of the the political spectrum of Tennessee, and Nashville's already pretty left, but we didn't need more of them coming in from California and Seattle.
They're going to be commie coffee people, Brian, is what they're going to be.
Yeah, I know.
I say that with all fun because I have been known to drink Starbucks a time or two. So people always chide me, make fun of me for drinking it. Although since we got Wally's Bean Machine coffee, have not gone back to Starbucks. All right, real quick, what happened to Billy Strings?
What is going on
the
with
famous guitarist?
He's horsing around backstage during a show, and there's a skateboard, and there are people who saw him trying to do some kind of weird trick. And in the process, he broke his leg. You often say to people in the entertainment industry when they go out to do a show, break a leg. Well, he literally broke his leg, sadly, and had to be carted off to the hospital because he was horsing around. He missed the finale, where everybody was supposed to come back out on stage, and was rushed to the hospital, where I understand he's doing well. But, I mean, gosh, that's a sad deal.
If there's anything I've learned in my old age, Brian, is never play with a skateboard.
Yeah, I used to, when I was a kid, I had a unicycle and a skateboard, and I could ride both of them.
You had a unicycle?
I had a unicycle. Yes, it's an embarrassing page out of my youth. I had a unicycle. I was quite good at it. And
I wonder how the unicycle. Well, you've lost a ton of weight, but Brian Wilson back in the day. I wonder how the unicycle would have survived
last time I tried to get on one, I had a friend who had one. I tried to get on it, and I could ride it a little, but I was right on the edge of seriously injuring myself, and I decided I don't really need to do this.
That's probably smart, Brian.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Well, thank you as always, Brian. Brought to folks by the Wellness Institute of Nashville. We'll talk to you again soon.
Mm-hmm.
All right, see you later, Brian. 7:24.
It's my line.
It is your line, Joan. Brian's disappeared on me. Not anything other than, okay. Very good. 7:25, Super Talk 99.7. Dan Mann is here for the covered patio. Now, warmer weather means you want to spend more time outside. If you want to add more living space to your home, think about building or upgrading your patio. Now, at the covered patio, they've got motorized screens so you can easily keep the patio open when you want some sun and closed when you want some shade. So your back screened-in porch becomes a lot more enjoyable. Now, at the covered patio, they've got a ton of outdoor living options with motorized screens, patio covers, custom wooden decks, and outdoor structures. They've got a ton of options with styles for every budget. Now, the covered patio is dedicated to fair prices and customized solutions for your specific home and space. Enjoy your home a lot more with an incredible patio upgrade from the covered patio. Reach out to them. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out at 615-695-2407, 615-695-2407. Online anytime, thecoveredpatio.com, thecoveredpatio.com. Dan Mandis here, and I need to make a formal apology to my listeners. I need to apologize for not getting my vision corrected sooner and for not encouraging you earlier to call my guy, Dr. Jeff Horn, at Vision for Life. Now, in all seriousness, I had lens replacement surgery just over a year ago, and I can tell you firsthand, it has been absolutely life-changing. Now, you don't realize how much you're missing when you're living with blurry or cloudy vision. Driving, reading, even just seeing people clearly across the room. Everything these days is sharper, brighter, and easier now. So whether you're dealing with cataracts, age-related vision loss, or you're just tired of glasses and contacts, Dr. Jeff Horn has a solution tailored to your eyes and your lifestyle. Now, the procedure is quick, it is painless, and recovery is really fast. And the results, well, they speak for themselves. So stop putting it off. Call Dr. Jeff Horn and Vision for Life, 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020. Find them online anytime, visionforlife.com, to schedule your consultation, and tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out.
Good morning. It's 7:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories in Virginia. Voters, they did approve that gerrymandering initiative brought on by new Governor Abigail Spanberger. Here's ABC's Lionel Moyes.
Voters in Virginia have narrowly approved redrawing the state's congressional map to favor Democrats ahead of November's elections. Former President Obama was among those who argued the redrawing is necessary to counter similar moves in Texas and other states that benefited Republicans.
You can push back against the Republicans trying to give themselves an unfair advantage in the midterms.
Republicans slammed the results, saying Virginia Democrats can't redraw reality, calling it gerrymandering in a purple state.
Former Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli has already started the legal fight, saying there'll be 4 constitutional challenges brought to the state's Supreme Court. The Southern Poverty Law Center indicted on fraud charges. The Department of Justice saying the organization said it paid informants to monitor and track racist organizations, but instead it was using the money provided by donors to pay leaders within groups like the Ku Klux Klan and Nazi organizations to stoke racial hatred.
The Southern Poverty Law Center vigorously disputes the allegations contained in the indictment. We are outraged, a statement said by what the group called the false allegations leveled against the Southern Poverty Law Center, an organization that for 55 years, it said, has stood as a beacon of hope, fighting white supremacy in various forms of injustice.
It's ABC's Aaron Katursky. Only the organization has been named in the indictment, but individuals could soon be charged as well. And good news out of Cheatham County this morning. Police who had been searching for a missing 9-year-old girl report that search is over. Officials say the girl was found safe later on. She was spotted playing in the woods. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here. And Low T Center is the original TRT clinic, and they've helped thousands of men across Tennessee and America get their lives back with high-quality testosterone therapy. Low T Center has set up the standard that other clinics are still trying to measure up to. Now, they've been highlighted for having the highest quality testosterone on the market. You know, they only use the highest quality testosterone on the market. It's pharmaceutical-grade testosterone, never compounded, so you know exactly what's going on in your body. Now, at Low T Center, every single provider is board certified and experts in their field. They know the right questions to ask, the right things to look for in your charts, and the right tests to run to keep your TRT smooth and manage side effects. Now, Low T Center has a variety of peptides to help with healing, muscle, tone, recovery, sleep, weight loss, and even hair and skin quality. So head on over to Low T Center and check out their peptide therapy programs. And right now they've got a couple of great deals. Free T-tests for men and hormone testing for women is just $99. That is a huge savings of about $200. They're also, by the way, offering discounts on GLP-1 weight loss medications. So head on over to lowtcenter.com and book your TRT appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Dan Mandis here, lifelong dog owner, and I got to tell you what, friends, I've seen all kinds of behaviors with my animals, and I bet you have too. Now, if you've got a dog that needs some behavior training, my buddy Jeff and his crew at Ridgeside Canine Nashville, they can help you. They can help your dog. Now, I call these folks the dog whisperers. They've been helping thousands of dogs and their owners over the last 25 years. So if you've got a dog that has aggression, potty problems, anxiety, basic obedience issues, yeah, they can help you help your precious dog with just about anything. And they certainly include you in that training. They say that owner education is just as important as dog training, and long-term success with your dog begins with you. And Ridgeside Canine Nashville, now they've got a lifetime support guarantee. They are there for you 24/7. So call them, check them out. Ridgeside Canine Nashville, 615-878-0380, 615-878-0380. Find them online, rsk9nash.com. That is the letter K, the number 9, rsk9nash.com. Ridgeside Canine Nashville, veteran-owned, proven results, and guaranteed for life.
Traveling 65 north in Berry Hill this morning. Watch it. Just before I-440, there's a crash off to the right shoulder. Out at Smyrna High School, they still have the westbound lanes of Lee Victory Parkway closed down a stretch between Bulldog Drive and McWilliams Drive. Still investigating a crash that happened early this morning. And then also in Creve Hall, Harding Place at Trousdale Drive, you've got a crash there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$7:35, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to welcome on into the program Congressman Matt Vaneps. Always great to have you on, Congressman. There is so much to talk about, so let's get right into it. First of all, everyone knows you're a military veteran, so let's talk about how you feel the war in Iran is going.
Well, Dan, thanks so much for having me on. I think we're hitting all of the objectives that we intended to hit, and it is moving in the right direction. What's clear to me is that Iran is run by bullies. This regime stated policy is death to America and death to Israel, and the only thing that those bullies respond to is strength. And so the United States now holds the cards. The president is the best negotiator in the world, is doing just that. And so while some of the negotiations have paused right now, we are negotiating from a position of strength. The blockade is working. Their center of gravity is their oil reserves, and that's their profit. And by going after that, we are starting to squeeze that regime, and I think we're in a good position, and we'll see good results.
I think just from a congressman, just a military standpoint, just putting some of the other stuff, aside for a moment, but just from a military standpoint, I think that we have shown amazing skill at taking out some of their infrastructure and some of the other things that we've done. President Trump has been saying he wants to, next is going to be, the bridges and the power plants and all of that. But, I think part of this strategy that you're talking about, part of the negotiation is extending that ceasefire, which is what he's doing. But the blockade there in the Strait of Hormuz to squeeze Iran's economy, it does seem to me that is the right thing to do.
Dan, I agree with you. And when we look at the military objectives here, destroying Iran's Navy and Air Force, we did that. Reducing the missile launch capabilities, we've done that. Those intercontinental or the ballistic missile capabilities that they have, those long-range missiles, Iran has not been truthful about their true capabilities. We saw the two that get fired at Diego Garcia far exceeding the capabilities that they had told us about. But having severely reduced 80 or 90% of their missiles, preventing them from acquiring a nuclear weapon, and then eliminating their ability to fund and support these proxies who launched October 7th, who were killing American soldiers in Iraq when I was there. Those military objectives we completed, and I agree, our military is phenomenal. And this was against one of the best integrated air defense systems in the world when this started. And through a great plan, we're able to degrade and disrupt that and then get after these military targets.
So House Democrats, they keep trying to force through this war powers resolution to stop the president's action in Iran. The president has called Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer traitors. It seems like the Republicans are unified on the president seeing this through, allowing the president to see this through. Have you seen any cracks in the Republican unity thus far in the House?
I've not. And on that war powers resolution, the truth is Chuck Schumer would oppose anything the president does, and that's what he continues to do. I want to run through. I think this is a really important point. When we look back over history, over the Clinton and Obama administrations, they launched multiple military operations without explicit approval from Congress. Going back to 1998, when Clinton conducted a 4-day bombing campaign targeting Iraqi WMD-related facilities. He struck terrorist camps and infrastructure in Afghanistan also in 98. There was the Kosovo War in 99. And then you go to Obama, who conducted airstrikes and enforced no-fly zones against the Gaddafi regime. drone strikes against Al-Qaeda and Taliban targets in 2011. It goes to 2016 and 17. So there's this history of actions by Democrat presidents where we have not seen war powers resolutions. This is Chuck Schumer's opposition effort here.
Yeah, not real shocking. And I know that a lot of what they do is just so incredibly mired down in politics, and it's all about selling a narrative. I thought this was really interesting. You and Senator Marsha Blackburn, she was on the show yesterday, you have both sponsored a bill in your respective chambers to ensure that the National Guard members serving in cities like Memphis get active duty benefits. Now, this actually started with something from President Trump, right? You being obviously a veteran, I mean, this is right up your alley.
It did. And Dan, still serving in the National Guard as well. So to have a good perspective on this, this is the Guard Equal Benefits for Federal Missions Act. And so what we saw in Memphis with the Memphis Safe Task Force, which has been really successful, it's a model for the rest of the country on how you can use the National Guard, federal agencies and assets to really reduce crime and do it very effectively. But what we saw there is that there was a gap where National Guard members on Title 32 status, so the state level status, did not automatically qualify for federal benefits unless a mission was formally designated a national emergency. That one was not at the time. So the president stepped in, did an executive order, and this bill is going to codify the president's executive order to close that gap and ensure our National Guard soldiers get those federal benefits in these types of missions.
741, Congressman Matt Vaneps is joining us on WTN. I don't want to belabor the point regarding the Memphis Safe Task Force. I've been talking about this for a long time. The National Guard has done such a good job. Do you see the Trump administration at this point trying to roll this out in other cities, or does he have enough battles going on right now with Iran and everything else that's happening?
Well, I think there's as you know, Dan, I think there's a whole lot going on, but the president showing up at the Memphis Safe Task Force, I think underscores just how important of a model this is. I've been on the Homeland Security Committee. I've been talking about this as a framework example for the rest of the country as well. And I think the administration knows that, and where there are opportunities across the country, I would not be surprised if it was implemented, built off of the National Guard deployment in Washington, D.C. to start. And they're still out. Right? As I'm in D.C., I see groups of National Guard soldiers, and they do phenomenal work. And then taking the best practice from that and applying it to Memphis. And then the surge of federal law enforcement, a number of different agencies, federal prosecutors, has really allowed crime across every metric to go down in Memphis.
Another bill that you're sponsoring, and I thought this makes a lot of sense. It's got a long name. The Major Non-NATO Ally Terror Threat Assessment Act has a long name, but a very simple purpose: to make sure that if we have an ally that is not in NATO, that we aren't inadvertently funding terrorists. We've seen a lot of these kinds of things in USAID. So how exactly would that work?
Yes, and so this has a very government name to it in this long name, but this originated out of the subcommittee that I sit on Homeland Security, on the Counterterrorism and Intel Subcommittee. And so when there are countries that we designate with this as a major non-NATO ally, and what we just want to ensure is that there is a potential oversight gap where those countries are not doing the requisite research and ensuring that potential terrorist organizations are not operating within their countries. And so this bill is going to tighten that up. It's going to ensure that there's a little bit more oversight, and that these countries where there are defense trade eligibility with this designation, security cooperation, and then access to U.S. contracts and military financing, that we just ensure that there are not terrorist organizations operating there. And if there are, there's a counterterrorism effort that takes place.
Now, I have a crazy, wacky question. This makes all the sense in the world. So is it safe to assume the Democrats will oppose this?
Unfortunately, Dan, what we're seeing is major opposition. I think this one is I'm hopeful that this is bipartisan. It just makes a lot of sense. But what we're seeing on the Homeland Security Committee is pretty broad, just opposition to a whole lot. But I'm hopeful here, and we'll have to just see what happens.
I'm going to follow up on that here at the end of the interview. Right now, though, Congressman Matt Vaneps is joining us on Super Talk 99.7. Going to take a quick 15 seconds time to check the roads. As far as your weather goes, we're talking about Sunday, warm today, a high of 83. Congressman Matt Vaneps is joining us. I asked Senator Marsha Blackburn, Congressman, this question yesterday, so I'm going to ask you the same thing. Since you're a veteran, I know that you can certainly relate to the increase in veteran suicide. The president is expediting FDA research into psychedelic-type drugs for help with things like PTSD, for veterans and seizures and the like. And so this is something a lot of veterans have actually hailed, and veteran advocates have hailed as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I support, I think when we're talking about psychedelic therapy and these new ways to address both post-traumatic stress, but then also potentially drug addiction, I support the president in expanding clinical trials here and then strengthening that collaboration to better understand safety and effectiveness. There's a lot we have to do to better understand it, and to if proven safe and effective too, these treatments have to be delivered in a controlled clinical setting under supervision of doctors, other medical professionals. But the initial research seems to indicate some pretty good results. I was talking to a colleague of mine a representative from Texas who's on the baseball team with me, and we were talking about the effectiveness for this, not just for veterans, but for heroin and folks that are on heroin, and that only a couple of doses of this psychedelic type therapy can eliminate that addiction to heroin. And so some really positive results coming out from this. The executive order focuses on expanding access to those innovative treatments for serious mental illness. And so more to do here, but I'm excited about the potential pathway.
So you mentioned major opposition with the Democrats. So you're new to Congress. It's been, how long has it been since you've been 3 months? About 3 or 4 months?
4 months.
Okay.
About 4 months, yeah.
Have you been surprised at the amount of opposition to the point where I'm going to speak for myself, where the opposition is it's irrational in nature?
I totally agree, Dan. I mean, I think two very key examples are the Save America Act, which is a better than an 80-20 issue to require IDs to register to vote in federal elections, to have an ID when you're voting, and to ensure that states remove anyone off their rolls that shouldn't be there if they've passed away. And this is to ensure that we have citizens voting in our country. That is the core basis of our republic. And it is like I said, better than 80-20 issue. I think over 70% of Democrats even support it. We passed it out of the House, and there are obstructionist Democrats that are preventing it from getting to the president's desk in the Senate. And, that one is very clear to me that it should just be done. And the other is this Homeland Security funding. I mean, we talk about there are 10 agencies within Homeland Security, from TSA and ICE and CBP, who are the two that, the Democrats are having problems with. But the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, Coast Guard, I mean, you name it, these very critical agencies, and these 10 work together. It's the whole reason why Homeland Security was established after 9/11, is to close these gaps and ensure that silos don't exist across agencies that are meant to protect the homeland. So when we don't fund CBP and ICE, they work in conjunction with the other 8 agencies. And so we have an effect of reducing our overall security. And that, to me, Dan, to your point, is just common sense. Like, we need to do that, and we need to get it funded, and we need to ensure that the homeland is secure. We've got major events coming up. We've got America 250 this year. We've got FIFA World Cup. We've got the Olympics on the horizon. And when we get behind now, that has an effect in the future. So that has CBP and ICE and the rest of Homeland Security have got to be fully funded.
All right. So did I hear you right that you're now on the Congressional baseball team? You said on the baseball team,
Yeah.
I'm assuming. So 4 months in and you've already gotten a position on the team?
Well, I'm on the team. I'm working really hard to ensure that I can play in the game. You know, I grew up playing baseball, Dan. I was through high school, and I absolutely love it. We had so practices start at 5:50 a.m. So I'm getting up at like 4:30 for practice, which is, I know, probably still not as early as you get up, but we're waking up early. We had our first scrimmage last night against the Capitol Police. And I felt pretty good. I played a little bit of second base. I grew up playing third base, but played a little bit of second base. Had a put out and an assist. Had 2 plate appearances. Had a walk and I grounded out, but I got an RBI off the ground out. So it's feeling good. Before I started practice, I hadn't swung a bat in about 20 years. So so it's starting to come back. But that game is in June, and we're going to have our full team, and we'll do a big event for it. You know, they sold out. The money goes to charity.
Yep.
It's played in the Nationals ballpark, and I think last year they sold 30 or 40,000 tickets.
Oh, it's a big deal. I mean, people love this, and so you've got to be looking forward to actually being able to play on a major league ball field.
Oh, so excited about that! So excited to have the family and friends and our team there, and hopefully, if I keep up the practice, hopefully we'll get a little playing time in the game too.
All right.
And
good luck.
We'll win big against the Democrats. That's the bottom line.
There you go. That's always the most important thing. Politics or sports. Matt Vaneps, always great to have you on, Congressman, and we'll
Thanks,
talk to you
Dan.
again soon.
Appreciate it a lot. Have a great day.
You too. You know, Joan, it took every ounce of willpower and talk show host discipline to not ask him to steal some infield dirt.
I knew
from
you
the
were going to ask that.
See, I was going to. I was going to say, can you steal me some dirt from the infield? But you see, I don't know the congressman very well, and he doesn't know me like at all. And I just didn't want to embarrass myself again. You know, I just keep doing that.
You can just go there and get some.
Go to Washington?
Sure.
That's okay.
Don't you go everywhere else in the world to go get some stupid dirt from a stupid field?
Stupid dirt.
Did
from
I say
stupid
that out
field.
loud?
You sure did, Joan.
Yeah.
First of all, the last time I was in Washington, D.C., I ended up concussed with a head wound.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I won't be going again. By the way, 8665 says this. I don't know if you saw this on the super text line. Don't let Dan fool you. I worked at Starbucks for many years, and he used to be a daily customer in the mornings.
Oh.
Many different Starbucks over the years. I'm curious as to which one. I'm going to ask this person, which Starbucks do you work at? Because my go-to was the one in Hermitage. I went there like all the time, almost every single day. And but you know what? With Wally's Bean Machine, no offense to 8665, love everybody at the Hermitage Starbucks, but I can't possibly drink any more coffee after Wally's Bean Machine at wallysbeanmachine.com.
What I want to know is when you went into the Starbucks, how did they know it was you? Did you wear a shirt that said, "I'm Dan Mandis," and you had like a spare microphone with you?
I did not do that. You're a silly one.
Your own radio tower?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I never mentioned to any of them what I do, unless they specifically asked.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of them asked at one point, how can you spend so much time here in the middle of the day? Are you unemployed? And I said, no, I work in radio almost. Anyway, moving right along. So Valerie says, LOL, Joan, whatever. All right, real quick, Joan, what is coming up in the news at 8 o'clock?
All right, so we do have an update on the Strait of Hormuz standoff this morning. Also, President Trump reads the Bible out loud. We've got those stories coming up here at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
754 Super Talk 99.7. Skip the spring cleaning and sell your home hassle-free with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. Dan Mandis here. The spring real estate market is in full swing. Skip the hassle of listing your home on the market and sell on your terms with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. No showings, no open houses, just a strong all-cash offer and close in as few as 21 days. Now, one of their clients, Caitlin, said, working with Mark Spain Real Estate was so easy, and they exceeded my expectations. It was a very competitive real estate market, and they helped us accomplish our goals. Caitlin says, I would 100% work with Mark Spain Real Estate again. Now, Mark Spain Real Estate has been helping homeowners just like Caitlin sell their home for nearly 30 years, and they've served over 72,000 satisfied clients. Don't worry about the inconvenience of selling your home. The guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate makes the home selling process seamless and stress-free. Find out what the guaranteed offer on your home would be. There's no obligation. Call them at 855. I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to laugh in the middle of a commercial. Joan, I'm checking in the middle of my Mark Spain commercial. I'm looking at the super text line.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
I shouldn't do that because people are coming in hot with some comedy. I'll get into that coming up. Find out what the guaranteed offer would be on your home today. There's no obligation. 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD. Find them online anytime, markspain.com, to get that guaranteed offer on your home today. It's markspain.com.
.7.
756, Dan Mandis here for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Listen, when I came to Nashville, man, was I suffering from back and neck pain. The Wellness Institute of Nashville, they fixed me right up. And if you are suffering as well, check them out. 615-246-5009, the Wellness Institute of Nashville. If you've got back or neck pain like I did, sciatica, slit or bulging spinal discs, herniated discs, spinal stenosis, numbness or weakness in the arms and legs, fingers or toes, well, they can help you with all of those. And this is why Dr. Mitchell is my doctor, and he should be yours as well. The Wellness Institute of Nashville. Right now, non-surgical spinal decompression, 47% off. That's right. When you call this number, mention my name, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009. The website, painisbad.com. They also, by the way, have all kinds of other technology as well. Robotic lasers, anti-gravity machines, cryo machines, stem cell stimulation machines, all at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. 47% off, 615-246-5009, painisbad.com.
Good morning, 8 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. 3 ships now reported being fired on by Iran while transiting the Strait of Hormuz, all just since President Trump extended that ceasefire. 2 of them have been seized by Iran. Here's Lucas Tomlin at Fox News.
Early this morning, the first attack by Iranian gunboats took place in the Strait of Hormuz, causing heavy damage to the bridge where you drive the ship, of course. The second attack took place 8 miles off the coast of Iran, the third attack nearby. Ship tracking shows a Panamanian flagged and Liberian flagged vessels attacked and seized. Iran's state broadcaster says the 2 vessels are currently inside Iran's territorial waters, being held for inspection of their cargo, documentation, and related records.
Axios is reporting that President Trump is now giving 3 to 5 days more of that ceasefire to the Iranians to present a coherent counteroffer, or a full-on military response is back on the table. Here in Tennessee, Governor Bill Lee has signed 2 bills that deal with illegal immigration into law. The first one makes it a crime for an illegal to be in the state 90 days after a judge orders them to leave the country. The other punishes local governments that fail to use the federal E-Verify system to check employees' eligibility to work in the U.S. These are the first of a package of 9 immigration-focused bills in the state legislature. Kash Patel is firing back after an article in The Atlantic.
Patel is now suing for defamation and lashing out at reporters.
I can say unequivocally that I never listen to the fake news mafia. And as when they get louder, it just means I'm doing my job.
The Atlantic article said members of his security detail had difficulty waking Patel because he was seemingly intoxicated. It also said a request for breaching equipment normally used by SWAT and hostage rescue teams to quickly gain entry into buildings was made last year because Patel had been unreachable behind locked doors.
Now, Patel says his lawyers will be able to prove that the Atlantic published their story with actual malice. That's the high-level standard that public figures must meet to win a defamation case. Devin Nunes is out as CEO of President Trump's social media company. The parent company of Truth Social said in a statement that Kevin McGurn, who was an advisor to the company, is now taking over, but it didn't give a reason for Nunes' departure. Although Wall Street notes that the company recorded a net loss of more than $712 million in 2025. Have you heard about the project to read the Bible, Genesis to Revelation, by notable Americans? Part of the Museum of the Bible celebration of the nation's 250th birthday. Last night, it was President Trump's turn.
My people, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land.
The passage from 2 Chronicles in the Old Testament there. Market Numbers report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Right now, stock futures are on the plus side. The Dow Jones Industrials futures plus 287. NASDAQ futures are up 190. S&P futures are plus 40 points. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, it's an accident on 40 westbound in Glencliff, right at Spence Lane. The right shoulder's blocked off by it. Still have those that closure this morning on Lee Victory Parkway. The westbound lanes closed off Bulldog Drive to McWilliams Drive while they investigate a fatal accident that occurred early this morning. Ellington Parkway southbound. This is East Nashville. There's a crash at Cleveland Street. And then also Rosa Parks Boulevard at Dominican Drive in the Metro Center area. Also the scene of a crash this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.806 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends, and hope you are doing well. All right, so, Joan, I started laughing in the middle of my Mark Spain commercial.
Yes.
Because, sometimes I've been repping Mark Spain for like years and years and years, and so I could read the copy, with my eyes closed. So sometimes I'm in the middle of the copy, and I'll just slide my eyes to the left to look at the super text lines coming in. And the one that I was laughing at specifically was 7333. Stupid dirt in some stupid field. Joan sounds like y'all are married. I know.
Yeah.
I don't know why you do that, Joan.
Well, because, hanging out with you.
And by the way, so I can imagine how people that aren't necessarily actually familiar with me or my stupid quirks, when they listen, they don't quite understand what the hell I'm talking about half the time. So we were talking about stealing dirt, right? There at the infield at the Washington National Stadium. So the Vaneps people who were listening, they sent me a note and they're like, what are you asking the congressman to do? Steal dirt? What? With 15 different question marks. They don't understand. Well, you folks over at Van Epps' office, thank you for listening. You should listen more often because for many, many, many years, I stole infield dirt at Major League Baseball stadiums. Many years.
I don't think stealing's the right word for it.
Well, I sure as heck wasn't borrowing it. I didn't give it back.
You collected it.
You're giving the leftists ideas, Dan. They could throw it on the ground and say, no one's illegal on stolen land.
Can you imagine? That's funny. Can you imagine if I was able to somehow get Congressman Van Epps to, collect some dirt from Washington National Stadium, and then he got caught, and then it turns into an international incident, and he'd be like, well, the knucklehead on WTN told me to do it. I mean, no.
Actually, most people would welcome that kind of, if they're not talking about you, they're not listening to you. You know what I'm saying? Not all. Oh, my.
Oh, good, Joan.
Well,
good job, Joan. 5 to 9.
Me.
5 to 9 every morning. We're on the radio.
My mom calls all the time.
Tell Mom we said hi.
35 years in the business. She always calls in the morning while I'm on the air.
My daughter unoccasionally calls when I'm on in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's like, honey, I've been working in mornings on WTN for 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years. Why are you calling? I love you, but every morning. It's like, hey, are you working? It's like, yes, I'm working. Anyway, moving right along. And I'm trying to ascertain who that Starbucks barista is that texted in to the super text line earlier.
Still haven't found out?
No, I said, okay, well, are you from the Starbucks in Spring Hill? Are you from the Starbucks in Franklin? Or is it the one in Hermitage? Because those are all my Starbucks that I've been here over the past, 12 years or whatever it's been.
Those are the ones you've been stalking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Let's see here. Oh, you know what? 8110. You're not stealing infield dirt, Dan. You're simply relocating it.
There you go. You're relocating.
That's exactly right. All right, very good. 615-737-9986, 615-737 WWTN. There's a lot that I haven't done today because we had illegal immigration. You want to do illegal immigration in the news?
I think that's good.
Okay, so this is especially relevant, and especially, it's a Danny Downer story, but you got to do it. We all remember the horrifying murder of Sheridan Gorman. She was the Loyola Marymount student in Chicago, and she was shot by I've got some video here, gentlemen. So they are now going public. They're talking, they're giving interviews and so forth. And, the gerrymandering arms race that is going on right now, we do look at what is at stake in the midterm elections. Illegal immigration is certainly one of the topics of conversation. So the parents of Sheridan Gorman in the news, Sheridan Gorman was the Loyola University student shot and killed by that illegal alien in Chicago. I mean, clearly, obviously, they are still heartbroken.
I don't care what side of the aisle politically people are on, or you're right in the middle like us. This can't happen. We've got to make changes.
We all should be able to agree about the safety of our kids.
You have demanded a clear and honest accounting of what went wrong. You said we're not interested in rhetoric, we're asking for accountability. What would that look like, that accountability?
I don't think we know yet.
We don't know. We just know that there's definitely policies that contributed to this happening. And we can't save Sheridan, but we can't just not do anything.
So a lot went wrong. The mom was asking, what went wrong? A lot went wrong. The guy crossed the border under Joe Biden, was arrested and released into the country. Then he was arrested for theft. Released on bond, never shows up for the court date. Next thing you know, we hear of him shooting an innocent woman dead in Chicago. Now, not to belabor the point, but we keep hearing this all the time. Illegal alien kills innocent American. I mean, it seems like, Joan, it's about once a week. It's what it feels like. So now, yes, the heartbroken parents are asking for changes. You heard them say that it doesn't matter what political side that you're on, but I would respectfully submit that it does. Republicans are unified. By and large, really, America is unified. This was probably a 90-10 issue here in America, where illegal aliens need to be deported. The border must be closed. Democrats fight it at every turn. So it does matter which side of the aisle you're on. Now, the spirit with which they're talking about is Democrats should be united in this as well. They're not. It shouldn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, but clearly it does, because Democrats going to do what Democrats are going to do, and they are going to take the side of illegal aliens every single time. And it is obviously frustrating. And this is something that for the American people, not only when we hear stories about people that are killed by illegal aliens, but also you're stunned at the fact that people on the left, they just don't seem to care. Just to remind you as to how bad it is. Do you remember this woman? I played this audio back when this story happened, I think about a month or two ago. This woman named Maria Hayden, Chicago alderwoman and a self-described queer and progressive champion. And she says that Sheridan Gorman was murdered because she might have startled the immigrant who killed her. Yeah, these are the kind of people that are running the city of Chicago.
All the time, right? And they go out on the pier, they walk around. So the kids were out doing normal things people do in the neighborhood. And it sounds like this might have been a wrong place, wrong time, running into a person who had a gun. They might have startled this person at the end of the pier unintentionally.
It's like, you're an idiot. It's like, do not hear yourself. This is what the Democrats stand for. There is a lot more coming up, including a little kerfuffle. And I'm going to try to get to this before the end of the show. A little kerfuffle in the Tennessee State House. Details straight ahead. 8:15, time to check the roads on WTN.
There's also the story about the guy.
Ryan.
8:15, as far as your weather goes, sunny and warm and a high of 83 degrees. Thanks for listening to Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, so this is funny. Apparently, gentlemen, this is audio only. Audio only. Apparently, in the state legislature this week, they're debating a bill that would mandate that we need English-only driver's license tests. Joan, have you heard about this debate? So the Democrats like Afton Bain, I want you to think about this.
Yeah.
The Democrats like Afton Bain, they were horrified that the Republicans in the state legislature actually want driver's license tests given in English. And so this comes up, and Afton Bain, she actually said that she was going to put the name up of the Republican who is sponsoring this bill. Yeah. So here's how it all went down. Representative out of Summertown, a guy by the name of, I think it's Kip Capley, said, hey, you want to drive in Tennessee? Learn English. And this is part of what he said.
Members, this bill is about something simple. If you're going to drive on our roads, then you should be able to understand the language of those roads. It's not radical. It's not extreme. And frankly, it's respect for every other driver on the road. Is it too strict to say legal status matters? I don't think so.
I mean, makes sense to me, makes sense to you, makes sense to most people, certainly people in Tennessee. So this, of course, sent the Democrats into hysterics. Afton Bain starts freaking out at the mere notion of forcing people to actually learn English to be able to drive on our roads. This is what she said.
This is my promise to you, Representative Capley. I'm going to put your face and your name on a giant billboard indicating that you are the sponsor of this bill, the highlight of your career. You're welcome.
I think he probably welcomes that.
Afton Bain talking tough.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what's funnier, the fact that she thinks that people here in Tennessee would be upset about simply asking drivers to know English, or that she wants to put up a billboard letting folks know that the Republicans are doing this.
Okay, so here's the deal. We're done being nice. If you will not listen to the business community, our international partners and relationships, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put up billboards for every single person who votes for this bill because you all don't get it. The new ones coming over won't be able to drive. Well done.
Well done.
Okay.
Right.
We're okay with that.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
Here's the best part. First of all, memo to Afton Bain. You know how many innocent Americans have been killed by illegal aliens behind the wheel of trucks and cars who cannot speak English and can't drive? Many. All you got to do, Afton, is Google it. I did, actually. You ready? December 9th of 2025, a 54-year-old Chinese national who came into America illegally killed 31-year-old Carrie Smith out of Cleveland, Tennessee. This dude had a license despite failing an English proficiency test post-crash. He was driving a tour bus and was distracted driving. You know what this guy was doing? He was watching a video on his phone.
Oh, my gosh.
And caused a massive accident. August 10th of 2025, Bell Road in Antioch, Julio Cesar Herrera Gonzalez, illegal alien from Honduras, killed a woman as he was driving impaired. Afton Bain, do you care about these people at all? No? Okay. How about this one? January 18th of 2026, 640 West near Knoxville, a guy from Mexico, Alan Jacob Mangolan Anaya, driving drunk, killed a 37-year-old woman, and her 9-year-old son was in the accident as well. So, yeah, I think that most Tennesseans, we see these kinds of headlines, and they absolutely would agree that people who want a driver's license need to take that test in English to ensure that, number one, they know how to speak English and they know how to read the road signs as well. Anyway, so back to the meeting, because, I mean, I could go on, sadly, Joan, we could go on and on about people that have been killed by illegal aliens. But, you know, back to this meeting in the Tennessee State House, Afton Bain.
I'm going to put your face and your name on a giant billboard indicating that you are the sponsor of this bill, the highlight of your career. You're welcome.
So that obviously is kind of funny. So this lawmaker comes back with the best line ever.
Would that be an in-kind contribution, or does anybody know?
People, I mean, literally the Republicans laughing at Afton Bain.
Yeah.
The Tennessee Republicans, by the way, on social media came up with a great sign. It's a great sign design, as a matter of fact. You know what the sign says? House Republicans say, you should be able to read this sign if you want to drive on Tiana roads. Paid for by Afton Bain. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's funny, and I love it. 821 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, Joan, I've got a great update. I can't do it here, but during the crisscross handoff with Chris Hand, I've got a major update from the kitchen.
Oh.
That's all I can say.
Kitchen?
That's all I can say.
From our kitchen here?
From our kitchen. From our kitchen here.
Mm.
Yes. I got a big update from the kitchen that is all straight ahead on Nashville's Morning News. 821. Joan's got the news coming up at 8:30. Joan.
Yeah, coming up, Pete Hegseth has just removed a mandate for our troops. We'll also update what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz this morning. It's coming up here at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hosts, live discussions, and special segments where we stay live during the commercial breaks.
Don't just listen, watch, subscribe, and join the conversation today on Super Talk TV.
Dan Mandis here for my friends at Brentwood Jewelry. Now, listen, it is April. Lots of weddings are being planned and lots of weddings are happening. So I can tell you that the best place to get engagement rings and wedding rings is Brentwood Jewelry. Now, you've got to check out their vast selection of wedding bands and semi-mount engagement rings and loose diamonds as well. They've got rings for every budget and every style for both men and women. They are the official jewelry store of the Mandis House. And I bought Amy a couple of pairs of earrings. She bought me my favorite watch. And so Brentwood Jewelry, listen, friends, if you've got a special event coming up, if you've got a special something, birthday, graduation, anniversary, whatever, Brentwood Jewelry is your place to go to get something special for that special person. Check them out. 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Find them online anytime. Please tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. That's always important. BrentwoodJewelry.com. That's BrentwoodJewelry.com.
States. And again, we are.
#828, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, very quick. A lot of reaction, so I'm going to replay it. Had a lot of reaction to my comments and the comments of one Justin Pearson on CNN. This was on CNN last night. They're talking about, you've got Justin Pearson, of course, Memphis' own Justin Pearson, talking about Donald Trump, the war in Iran.
And this administration has done this because we have a wannabe dictator as president of the United States. And again, we are in a war that was completely unnecessary. It is. It's an authoritarian, an elected authoritarian who is operating as a dictator, who thought that he could kill, destroy, and bomb an entire nation into submission. And that isn't what has happened. And that isn't what's happened.
Fair and reasonable. And I've said this before, like, to debate the actual issues here and whether or not we think that this was the right move, but to immediately go to this lazy talking point that is used by the left all the time, just screaming about a dictator in chief. And it's just, it's not a serious conversation. If you say that you're serious about the issues that people are facing, talk about the policy instead of going to these silly attacks.
See, that's the thing. Where and that is Jason Rantz, and he is a talk show host, I think, out of Seattle, and he also works as a CNN commentator. But I think that there are valid arguments on both sides of this discussion regarding Iran, and Republicans are able, by the way, to have those conversations. But to Jason's point, where you've got Justin Pearson, who somehow has conned his way onto CNN as a serious person. Just all that he brings to the table is, Donald Trump, authoritarian dictator, and the rest of that nonsense. And this is what passes for discussion on CNN. And the reality is that, and as Jason said, both sides have very legit talking points. But Donald Trump is an authoritarian dictator. That is not a serious conversation, not by any stretch of the imagination. So you simply can't have a substantive argument or a debate about that because, this is, again, Justin Pearson, not a serious person and not really bringing serious analysis or comments to the table. But you'll notice that he's not alone in that CNN discussion because you had a lot of these other people saying, oh, yeah, it's a serious conversation. It's really not. It is 8:30 on WTN.
Good morning. It's now 8:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Well, it hasn't been 24 hours since President Trump extended the ceasefire with Iran, and Iran is already poking the bear. This morning, Iran has attacked 3 ships transiting through the Strait of Hormuz. The Wall Street Journal reporting an Iranian gunboat fired on a container ship near Oman before a second vessel reported being fired off the coast of Iran. Then a third one has been fired on as well by the IRGC. 2 of those ships are reportedly being held right now by Iran. The incident raising tensions once again with the U.S. A traffic stop on I-40 in Haywood County, West Tennessee, ended up as a big drug bust. News 2's Peyton Kennedy.
A K-9 detected narcotics, and agents located a secret compartment that contained about 16 pounds of fentanyl plus horse tranquilizer. The Drug Task Force says that these drugs would sell for about $500,000 on the street.
Investigators say the drugs were coming from Compton, California, and headed to Knoxville. War Secretary Pete Hegseth says service members are no longer required to get a flu shot every year. It'll be an option, but not mandated. Hegseth called the mandate absurd and overreaching. The COVID-19 vaccine mandate was rescinded in 2023. Service members who were kicked out for not getting it were reinstated with back pay by an executive order from President Trump. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. A strong start for Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial's up 342 right now. NASDAQ is up 206. The S&P 500 index plus 49 points. That's the latest news. Stick around for your traffic next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 8:32. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Stoltz Co. This is a great Tennessee company. They do continue to grow and expand. You know that they build pole barns at Stoltz Co. So these pole barns can be anything you want it to be. They can be a garage, an event space, equestrian buildings, even barn dominiums. Yeah, you can live in these barn dominiums. They're pole barns, and they're amazing. Now, these days, those barn dominiums from Stoltz Co., they are new and they are improved. Stoltz Co. is now offering you turnkey options, and that means that they handle the design, the construction, and the amazing finishing touches. You turn the key and you are home thanks to my friends at Stoltz Co. Now, your new pole barn from Stoltz Co. can be used for anything, so if you have some land that needs a building for whatever you want, call my friends at Stoltz Co. 615-622-5992, 615-622-5992. As always, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. You can also find them on Instagram and Facebook to see examples of their amazing work around Middle Tennessee. STOLTZCO, StoltzCo.com.
Of the PGA Tour. Let the pros do the work so you can enjoy your weekend. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Dan Mandis here for Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Love these folks. They've been my HVAC company. I think they've been with me for like 12 years, matter of fact. Now, they're in the middle of a great promotion right now. Their Spring Breathe Easy package right now at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Listen, they know, and you should know, that your HVAC has been sitting and collecting dust and allergens for the last many months. And so you don't want your family to breathe in that junk. Busy Bee can help you. Their Breathe Easy package is a full system refresh to clear out all of those allergens and the dust and the pet dander as well. You know, it has been building up in your home and in your HVAC unit, and you need to clean it out with Busy Bee. Now, here's what you get. An AC tune-up to make sure that you're ready for that summer heat. They'll check out your duct work as well and clean out all of those allergens. And Busy Bee is going to go the extra mile and install a whole home germicidal system to help reduce those airborne contaminants. They'll even throw in a bonus deodorizer treatment. Now, right now, you can get that whole package for just $11.99 for a 1.5 to a 3-ton system. That is a savings of about $600, and $15.99 on those bigger 3.5 to 5-ton systems. That's going to save you around $500. Now, think about your air quality and call my friends at Busy Bee, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, BusyBeeHVAC.com.
Okay, so you still have that closure this morning on Lee Victory Parkway. Westbound side, the right lane is still closed between Bulldog Drive and McWilliams Drive. Police are still out there investigating a fatal crash from very early this morning. Metro Center, Rosa Parks Boulevard at Dominican Drive. You've got an accident that's taking up some space there on the roadways. Looks like it's pretty slow still on 24 westbound heading into Nashville. Same thing for 65 south. Very slow this morning approaching the merge with 24. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.837 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Welcome on in to the crisscross handoff, which every day at the same time, it begins, Joan, as you know, at about 8:36 or so.
He's just coming in, isn't he?
You know what? Chris Hand likes to be fashionably late. That's what it is.
That's not what it is at all. You're in here reading a commercial. And I popped into Sam and I said, do I have time to go hit the bean machine?
Sure.
And Sam says you absolutely have plenty of time to go hit the bean machine.
So it was sabotage.
It was sabotage.
Got it.
Sabotage?
It was sabotage.
Sabotage. Good.
Sabotage.
Did you notice something different, Chris Hand, about the bean machine?
I didn't, and I was actually paying attention because I heard your tease on the way in, and I didn't notice anything, so what did I miss?
So I'm going to show this to the good people on the Super Text line. Okay. Or not on the Super Talk TV. I'm getting so old. So I don't know if people can actually see that. Can you see it?
Whoa, let's go. I didn't notice that.
For people listening on the radio, yesterday we had this whole big conversation about, I don't know.
Well, we were just disparaging the French.
Which is easy. I mean, it's easy to disparage the French. There's a lot of reasons to disparage the French.
Many reasons.
So I, of course, started going down this stupid road of maybe, like we called, French fries, freedom fries years ago.
Yeah, it's like 2004.
I said, we need to, as I said, I'm getting old. So we need to get with Wally's Bean Machine, and we need to change French vanilla to freedom vanilla. He actually came in and did it.
Now, here's the real tale of the tape that we need.
Yeah.
Did he change every machine, or is it just ours?
There's only one.
But we need to spread. No, Wally's Bean Machines everywhere.
In offices all around Nashville.
We need offices around Nashville to also be referring to this as vanilla.
Well, here's the thing. Well, you know what?
Offices can request that.
Do you know what's so
change.
funny? He changed every French thing. So we had French vanilla. We had French vanilla plus milk. We had French vanilla plus espresso
plus milk.
And French vanilla plus espresso. They're all now freedom.
I love
nice.
it. That is Wally's the best.
Wally'sBeanMachine.com. That is, I see. Okay, so.
But he could do this for your office too and customize it with any inside joke that you may have.
You absolutely could. You know what? If you, for whatever reason, like Canadians, you could change that to like French Canadian milk or whatever. If you got a bunch of pansies in your office. I'm totally kidding.
Rolls off the tongue. I'd like one of those French Canadian whatevers.
Exactly right. Whatever. And I love that about Wally.
What's going on with the mic, too? You got a new mic thing today.
It's got a...
Is that a new microphone in general?
Screen, and I have the same thing here.
Did we get new microphones?
I don't know if it's a new... So for people listening, and people have noticed on the super text line, for people listening, you can have two windscreen things. There's either the big puffy thing, if you're watching on Super Talk TV. Has. Like Chris has a big puffy thing. And I've got, what do you call this thing?
A windscreen.
A windscreen. Or a windscreen. Yeah. So they suddenly put a windscreen on here.
Is that because you've been farting in here?
No, it has nothing to do with the farts.
Pops his plosives.
I don't pop my plosives.
Okay, you two.
That's what he said. What? Anyway, so, and I've been trying not to obsess over it all morning long, but I'm not a plosives popper. Somebody must have been, but it wasn't me.
You can't be.
But you know what the thing is,
though? It was either me or you, because I have one too now, by surprise. So,
Ryan has something to say. Yes, Ryan.
You had your Daily Dan poll requested earlier about can we ever make peace with Iran? That came in at 73% negative.
Oh, okay, very good. 73% negative. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that.
If only they had windscreens, they'd be a little bit more.
That's exactly right.
Amicable.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see what happened in Philadelphia yesterday?
No.
Okay, I DM'd it to you. An armored truck got knocked off for $1.8 million. And last check, the thieves are at large. Nobody was hurt. And I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Am I the only person that's a little bit impressed?
Do you know what? If they were able to steal,
so
they knocked off a Brinks truck.
They knocked off the bread truck for $1.8 million. So I've said it before. When I was growing up, Meme Hand used to always impart pieces of wisdom on me, and she would say, "Chris, if you're going to steal something, you don't steal a candy bar, you rob a bank. That's how you gain respect."
That's exactly right.
She's mad cool.
All right, so can we make sure my audio and video are up, Ryan?
All right, so play this. This is from Philadelphia.
Story on Action News at noon is breaking this hour. A brazen robbery targeted an armored truck this morning in Philadelphia's Tacony neighborhood. Police say 2 armed suspects robbed that truck right here on the 7200 block of Torresdale Avenue. They escaped after taking a massive amount of cash from that truck. Action News reporter Becca Hendrickson live for us at the scene with an update from police. Becca?
John, sources tell me it was $1.8 million stolen from that armored truck this morning. It all happened behind me. I'm told the truck was parked right behind me at the Torresdale bus loop. It was a Brinks armored truck. Police say around 9:43 is when 2 armed men approached that truck. Take a look from Chopper 6. You see the Brinks truck on the 7200 block of Torresdale Avenue. Witnesses say the truck had been on the block servicing a budget financial center. That's when police say 2 males with assault rifles approached the truck and, according to sources, again, robbed it of $1.8 million before speeding off. Here's some.
So is it just me, or is this a little impressive? And I think like maybe I've been jaded because all the crime that we've been dealing with in the millions of dollars range has been like fraud and paperwork violations.
Right.
I think that
these guys earned
this
it.
is a little bit of effort. Like this is a different class of criminal, and a little tip of the cap.
Well, see, there's something going on there because this is the 7th armed truck robbery in the past 2 years in that same Philadelphia area.
So do you think this is like the town, Joan? Is that what's happening here?
I think somebody knows how to knock off the Brinks trucks, and police unfortunately haven't figured out that these guys know what they're doing.
But am I the only guy that thinks that this deserves a little bit more respect than, autism fraud?
Okay. Yes, this is a little more difficult.
You know what?
But it also speaks to the fact that these guys, I don't know if they're armed or not, but they're probably very limited in what they can do to defend themselves. This is not a friendly state.
The Brinks truck people?
A friendly city.
They changed a lot of those laws when Whitey Bulger and those guys were knocking off trucks in Boston.
Yeah.
Where you have to have, like, the second guy never leaves the car, and they're all armed. I mean, they're ready to go just in case.
Inside job?
Maybe.
I think,
Perhaps.
yeah, there's something going on there. 7 trucks can't get robbed, and nobody know what's going on.
I think it's an inside.
Is that your mom texting you
again?
Joan is cool. Don't worry about us. or the half dozen people that are still listening.
Yeah, okay.
Ask your mom. Hey, Joan.
Yeah.
Ask your mom if she has a respect for the for the Brinks truck robbers.
I'm just saying, nobody was hurt. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Except for the people whose money got stolen. Chris?
I don't want to sound like a Black Lives Matter protester, but it's insured.
Oh, my. I can't believe this.
What?
See?
This is the kind of attitude, Joan, that we're importing from Canada.
What? I just think listen, I think it's kind of cool. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
Nobody was hurt.
So if
no harm, no foul. I say, all right, guys.
Can I ask this question, though?
Just get out of town.
So how is it possible?
Joan's mom.
I can't make it stop.
You just hold the little button on the side until it buzzes.
Okay.
What does your mom want, Joan? You want to call her on the air?
No.
You sure? Do you know that's my one regret, that I never actually called my mom on the air?
Oh,
that would have been a hoot.
Oh, really?
Never did.
Yeah.
Never did. I thought about it.
But you had her in a few times.
Yeah, but I never let her talk on the radio.
You never let her talk? Wait. You had her in the studio, but she didn't talk on the air?
No.
Okay. Even Chris, you had your dad in.
Yeah.
My mom was salty as a sailor. Like, she would drop F-bombs at, like, the drop of a hat.
So she wouldn't have had the
filter?
The filter. That's it.
No. My mom had no filter. Bless her heart. So, no.
I wish I met her.
She was a hoot. Anyway, so, we you know what, Joan? We can call your mom sometime if you want. Put her right on the air.
Yeah.
Who did I talk? Whose mom did I talk? I talked to your dad.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember whose mom I talked to one time on the air.
I'd be a little afraid to have my mom talk on the air.
Why? Was she salty as a sailor too, Joan?
She was. Yeah.
Okay. Well, is.
She used to be more salty than she is now, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, I've noticed when people get older, they get saltier.
Yes.
Because they don't care.
I plan to what little filter I have is going to be eroded over the next couple of decades.
You don't really have much of a filter,
I
Chris.
know.
I mean, you're
that's why I'd be nervous.
You're here on 100,000 watts of FM radio, and you're advocating for people to start knocking off Brinks trucks.
I didn't advocate for it. I just thought it was a little cool.
That's what I heard.
Everybody on the text line agrees with me. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the text line, but I'm kind of with you on this one, Chris. I'm not proud of myself, but it makes great movie material.
Tim Jones says, come on, Dan. You know you would go see the movie if one is made about this robbery. They actually had a movie about it with Brad Pitt. And
It's as American as apple pie to be recognizing the kind of cool factor in this. Even Mario texted me and said, remember, we glorify Jesse James.
Do we?
Yeah, that's America AF.
I seem to recall a Brady Bunch episode where they featured, I believe it was Jesse James in a Brady Bunch episode, and Jesse James, with the little finger guns or whatever it was, killed every one of those Brady Bunch people, and it gave, I think it was Bobby, bad dreams.
Oh.
I remember a Brady Bunch episode where one of them got the measles, and it wasn't a big deal. Brady Bunch used to be based.
Yes, I remember that too.
I do remember that, actually.
Back before people freaked out about these things.
Mm-hmm. All right, so 0704. Yes, Dan, it was an inside job. Here's the other thing that I would say. Oh, Josh says, you know what Josh says about this windscreen thing?
What does he say?
It's because Dan whistles when he speaks. I don't make any sense, but occasionally I whistle. It just comes out. Tim remembers that one time, I forget who was working, but remember that one time, Joan? I was doing, I don't know what I was doing, and a whistle came out, and I just started laughing.
Yeah.
And it was like so dumb. Anyway, moving right along. Yeah, I think Wally's Bean Machine, I would agree. Wally's Bean Machine is absolutely based. Do you know what I'm worried about, though?
Somebody knocking off the Wally's Bean truck. I've been thinking about it all morning.
It is valuable.
There's that.
I've been thinking about it all morning. Those beans are worth their weight in gold.
Do you know, we have some people I'm not going to say who, but we have some people on the second floor that are very sensitive. And they might take offense to the fact that we have basically, taken the French out of the coffee machine. And I don't want to trigger any of the other people on this floor.
I think we need to go even further.
Okay.
For the salted caramel drinks, we should call them the salty liberals.
Ooh.
Because I know there's no conservative on this station getting a caramel drink.
And for the part where there's just water that comes out, that could be the liberal tears.
I love it.
Although I think that's Daily Wire's deal.
That's okay. We can steal it from the Daily Wire.
Yeah.
We're going to steal it. Might as well steal from the best.
We'll culturally appropriate.
Yeah, well, you know what? We have an amazing amount of peace and harmony on the second floor. We have all kinds of political persuasions up here.
What if instead of just the regular black coffee, we said coffee of color?
I love it.
What do you think?
We'll call it the COC.
Yeah, we'll go CO. You down with COC? Yeah, you know me.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody wants us to call Joan's mom.
Oh, come on.
Everybody wants us to call Joan's mom. Joan, would your mom come on the air with us?
No, today she's at the senior center.
Well, I don't care about today. Oh,
Even better.
Because she's really busy at the senior center.
But she doesn't take her phone into the senior center.
Well, clearly she does because she's texting you.
We've already fact-checked that, Joan.
Yeah.
Fact check untrue. Your mom is
I'd
like...
love to, but she doesn't have her phone. And then we hear the wind chime text message effect again.
Oh, yeah. Whoops. Well, that one wasn't actually my mom. That was my husband saying that it figures it happened in this certain... The heist happened in the certain area of Philadelphia that we both know.
Yeah.
5337.
Did Jones' husband send a usual suspects text? Is that what happened?
Pretty much.
Let's see here. This thing apparently is called a pop filter. That's what it is. No, I'm getting text messages. Jesus.
See that? It's your mom from the other side.
I was going to say, wow. That'd be impressive, man.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Oh, Matt Murphy.
Also, yeah, all right. So, Matt, he's already changed it. So, Matt Murphy's saying, Matt says he spoke to Wally personally last night about Freedom Vanilla. He says he can change it and will. He has.
You're just going to breeze over that first text message?
Matt Murphy, worse than stealing money from a Brinks truck, stealing a radio bit. Just saying.
Do we have time for Mandis' Morning Morons?
No, we don't.
I think Dan did it first. Just saying.
Anyway, whatever. Other people asking, is this thing to try to ward off like farts from the? Because remember that whole stupid thing about farting.
That's where my mind went. The windscreen.
There you go.
The microphone is up here, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Strategically, it doesn't work.
Do you know what I love about Joan?
Yeah.
Like, Joan Jones is where good bits go to die. Joan is like the one that would watch Gilligan's Island and be like, if they can make a radio out of a coconut, why can't they just repair the boat and go home? Right? That's Joan Jones.
Well, that's true, too.
Yes. Anyway, there you go. We done?
Yeah, I got to go grab a coffee of color.
Joan, what's coming up in the news at 9?
You going to put some whitey cream in it?
Oh, my God.
I might. I just might.
Okay.
Joan, what's coming up at 9?
Yeah, coming up here, we'll take a look at what the latest is that's happening with the ceasefire in Iran and all that's happening in the Strait of Hormuz as well. That's at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, so I want to make sure that everybody understands what happened in that last bit, Joan. In that last bit, we ascertained that Chris Hand is a soft-on-crime Canadian import. Can we all agree that that's what you are, a soft-on-crime Canadian import? Because you are...
Pro-Brinks truck knockoff.
You are pro-Brinks truck knockoff.
I'm not advocating for it. I'm just hoping they get away with it.
Sure. Okay, very good. 854 Super Talk 99.7 WTN USS United Structural Systems. Now, they are your local experts for all things foundation repair, waterproofing as well. You know, they live here, they work here, and they understand exactly how Tennessee's soil, weather, and homes behave. Now, they've been trusted in Tennessee since 1994, serving homeowners, including yours truly, for over 30 years. Now, more than 30,000 local homeowners have trusted USS, United Structural Systems. Now, that experience means they've seen every type of problems that our homes face right here in the state of Tennessee, whether it's foundation settlement, basement water intrusion, crawl space moisture issues, and a whole lot more. They know how to read the signs, and most importantly, once they read those signs, they have engineered solutions that are going to last. Now, their phone number is 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. They've got an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau. So book your free home inspection at USSTN.com. United Structural Systems, USSTN.com. We are problem solvers. We are experienced. We are local. We are USS.